This podcast is a member of the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Visit voicesofwrestling.com to hear the rest of our great podcasts, as well as show reviews, columns, opinions, and updates across the world of wrestling.
You are listening to the Voices of Wrestling podcast with your hosts, Joe Lanza.
X out and go listen to some boring podcast where they're afraid of their own shadow. Okay? Don't listen to Joe Lanza, because Joe Lanza's not changing.
And Rich Craich.
Give me a name. Like who delivers this guy in a big spot?
Joe, don't yell at me.
In the big spot, who delivers better than this guy?
Stop yelling at me. I agree. And we are live here on the Voice of Wrestling Flagship podcast. I'm Rich Craich, alongside, as always, the King of Banter, Mr. Joe Lanza. Joe, what's happening?
No, I want to be introduced as the man with the perfectly honed instincts from this point forward.
The man with the perfectly honed instincts. Is that what
That's
we
right.
want? Okay. Perfectly honed instincts.
So
I should say that.
over
I should also
Go ahead.
say the Voice of Wrestling Flagship podcast is presented by MyBookie, of course. So.
We'll do it all over again with my perfectly honed
Okay.
instinct.
All right. So what? So it perfectly honed. Let me jot this down real quick so I can make sure. It perfectly honed instincts is what I'm saying.
The man
The
with
man
honed.
with the perfectly honed. I capitalized the. Is that fine?
Yes.
Like the man with the perfectly honed instincts.
perfectly honed instincts. That's
Okay.
right.
All right.
And I will be ready for this.
Okay.
Go
All
ahead.
right. 5, 4, 3. Oh, I guess we don't have to do that part again. Anyway. All right, and welcome once again to the Voice of Wrestling Flagship podcast presented by MyBookie. I'm Rich Craich, alongside the man with the perfectly honed instincts, Mr. Joe Lanza. Hello, Joe.
Hi, how are you today?
I'm doing well. How perfect are those perfectly honed instincts?
It's just, people continue to doubt me and look foolish. I mean, it really is incredible. It's like something new every week where people will doubt me and talk trash on me behind my back and subtweet me, tell me I'm wrong. The one with guts telling me I'm wrong right to my face. And it's just incredible. It's like, how at this point, how can you still doubt my perfectly honed instincts after 8 years of being right on nearly everything? How do people still doubt my perfectly honed instincts? It blows my mind.
What's particularly got you doing the Barry Horowitz backpack right now?
What doesn't? I mean, I'm having a hell of a week. I mean, first of all, once again, when Joe Lanza shoots on a potential star, he don't miss. Ben Carter is the hottest free agent in wrestling.
Oh, yeah. Honestly, the talk, well, I mean, today, for bad reasons, but for most part, yeah, over the last few weeks has been one of the big talks of the entire wrestling industry, and many people trying to pull him in many different directions to get him. So, yeah, no, definitely.
And where did many people hear about Ben Carter first? This podcast, Rich. Months ago, telling people that this was the next guy. And now the secret's out because of these matches he's been having in AEW. And speaking of AEW, we are now week 3 into mid-card Miro.
Oh my God! Are we doing the Miro thing right now?
I know you want to do the Miro thing, so I mean, because you're part of this, of course. You too had the perfectly honed instincts 3 weeks ago when we tried to tell the world that that was a terrible debut. Nobody listened. People are too wrapped up in the dopey Gucci outfit to miss the forest through the trees. And here we are 3 weeks in, and each week gets progressively worse than the last with how they're rolling this man out. Again, we warned everyone. This is mid-card Miro, and they've done nothing to dissuade us from the fact that this whole entire rollout and introduction has been a complete bust. Again, perfectly honed instincts. Mm-hmm. It's incredible. Yeah. Go ahead, Rich. I know you want
No,
to
I mean, honestly, we're gonna save it till later in the show. But as you're kind of patting yourself on the back there, I have to do the same as well. And I'm not dancing on the grave of Miro. I don't want Miro to suck. Like, I would love if Miro ripped his shirt off. We said the best way to have him debut is he comes out, he's wearing some dopey little, best man's outfit or whatever. You know what I mean? Like a little suit or something like that, or like a whatever you want to do. He's just wearing whatever. It doesn't matter. He could wear that fucking Gucci Mickey Mouse thing. I don't give two shits. What he does is Kip Sabian kind of taps him on the shoulder and goes, "How's it going, buddy?" And Miro just gives him a look like, "I'm not your fucking buddy, dude. I'm not your best man. I'm nothing." Rips the shirt off and fucking destroys the guy in the middle of the ring and lets the world know that Miro has arrived. Instead, he goes, "Yeah, I'm friends with this guy. I like video games." Excalibur says, "Oh, these guys are friends on Twitch." That's awesome. They're friends on Twitch. We get a bunch of people, he's wearing fucking pajamas. Again, we had the whole discussion. We're not going to do that again. And, I will say that, the in-between week of him kind of lifting weights was like, okay, cool. There we go. He's a big, strong boy. He's obviously gained some muscle mass as a proclaimed effort guy, self-proclaimed effort guy, or you call me a body guy. I'm an effort guy. I'm not a body guy. Miro obviously putting in that effort over his, over the time of being away from WWE. Looks great. Traps are out of this world. Bigger than ever. And you see that in the late thing, and like, all right, cool, here we go. He comes out this week, and I'm like, all right, perfect opportunity for Miro to go in there, and he's against Sonny Kiss and Joey Janela. And that's like, when I saw that it was those two, I was like, oh, what a fucking layup this is going to be. Kip Sabian's going to dance around. Kip Sabian's going to want to start the match and do some stuff and get his shit in or whatever. Then he's going to tag Miro, and hopefully Sonny Kiss or Janela just go, oh shit, oh no. And Miro comes in there, takes them both down, locks them both in the fucking, now it's called the game over, which again, another fucking terrible thing about his character. And I'm a video gamer as well, but I don't want, my badass 35-year-old, Miro to be a Twitch streamer video gamer. But regardless,
worked well for TJ Perkins.
Yeah, exactly. Right. But you know what I mean? Like I thought, okay, he's going to tag in. These guys are going to,
nothing screams tough guy professional wrestler like playing Chrono Trigger for a bunch of nerds on Twitch.
Hey now, hold on a minute. Is he actually playing Chrono Trigger?
I just named a geeky game. Right. I don't know.
How dare you? Now I'm mad at you. Hold on. Wait. Why are you throwing Chrono Trigger under the bus?
Nothing if you're just a normal person. Okay. But if you're trying to portray yourself as a tough guy pro wrestler, it's probably not a good look.
No, it's not.
To have your most outstanding personality trait
plays video games.
Yeah, I play Kingdom Hearts on Twitch. That's not like, you know what I mean? Like
I did feel like 700 years old when Excalibur said the game that him and Kip Sabian play, and I had no idea what the game was. I had never even heard of it. I was just like, oh boy, that's not great for me, or I guess for him, because he's not, 20 years old. He's not 17. He's a grown man. So anyway, I was thinking that he's going to tag in. Those guys are going to bounce off of him, and he's going to drop them both on the ground, lock them both in the camel clutch or whatever, the former, whatever the hell it was called, now the game over, and just tap both people tap out at the same time because Miro is just too much for them to handle. Instead, they had like a middling back and forth 15-minute match where they fucked everything up. Miro twisted his ankle. He's selling for Sonny Kiss and Joey Janela. I'm just like, oh my God. And then it was over, and I was like, yep, nah, this thing's not working. I mean, maybe I'll be wrong. Maybe we'll be wrong. Maybe we'll be proven wrong. But first impressions are, you only have one first impression, and now we're 2-3 weeks in. And
here's the thing that people don't understand. There's a burden in being right all the time. I don't want to be right all the time.
I wish we were wrong sometimes. It'd be nice.
I want to be wrong about Miro. I am still holding out hope that they can turn Miro around because I want to see this work. But we are now into week 3. And if we don't start turning this thing around fast, he is going to be firmly entrenched as mid-card Miro, which you came out here week 1 and warned everybody that was the direction things were going. Here's how that match last night needed to go, Rich. In spite of the horrible debut in the pajamas where you're associated with Kip Sabian in a comedy segment with Puff, in spite of whatever the weightlifting thing was last week, which was a wasted week, where you didn't regain any of the momentum you lost by the bad debut.
I didn't hate that. I won't lie. I did not hate that. If he comes back this week, it destroys people. But
it did nothing for him.
Right, I mean, exactly. Right. It was a holding pattern, and that you're thinking, okay, well now that's kind of like it's the bridge. It's that little gap, and now he comes back and he's all business the next week.
So now, okay, we've made these mistakes along the way. Clearly, the debut is shaky at best. Okay, so even if you keep all of that, and even if you do this match against Sonny Kiss and Joey Janela, a prelim tag team. Here's all they needed to do to handle this. First of all, Kip Sabian shouldn't even have been in the match. This should have been Rusev, or Miro, whatever his name is, versus both of those men, with Kip Sabian as the annoying manager on the outside. And then Miro should have beat both of these jabronis in a matter of minutes, stacked them on top of one another, put a foot on their chest, and pinned them at the same time. That's how you handle this match. You don't go 13 minutes with this jabroni team that only wins matches on Dark. I mean, you couldn't have botched his first match worse. And then on top of all that, the match was terrible, which isn't necessarily his fault, because I don't think it was terrible because of him. Joey Janela had an off night. We're Joey Janela fans. I like the guy. He would tell you he had an off night. Okay, it wasn't a good match.
Everything was bad. Everybody had a bad night that night. Sonny Kiss, I was maybe the best performer of the entire thing. Rusev was fucking everything up. Kip Sabian's kind of always shitty, and Joey had a rough night as well. So yeah, and then when Miro did roll his ankle or whatever, or hurt his knee or whatever the hell it was, from that point forward, the match never, ever, ever got up back on track again. And not that it was on track before that either.
You're not pushing Sonny Kiss and Janela right now anyway.
No, who cares?
He should have just beat both of them by himself. Should have been a handicap match, right? And then you have the announcers. They could set it up perfectly. Oh, this might be a mistake for Miro, biting off more than he can chew. This tag team's 8-3. They've got good, they're a cohesive unit. We all know that they're tough to deal with. Then he destroys them, and they talk about how impressed they are with how Miro just beat two men at once, and how the rest of the AEW singles division is possibly going to handle this man. Why is this hard, Rich?
I don't know. It is.
Is my scenario not a million times better?
No,
than what
yeah, my scenario, your scenario, all those were better than, he plays video games with Kip Sabian. They relate on that level, and here he is wearing a Gucci Mickey Mouse thing. And the thing that I love hearing about this too, which is just the funniest retort to like complaints about it, is, well, he's doing what he wants to do. He loves this. I don't give two fucks what he loves.
Well, then he don't have a clue.
Yeah, then he's an idiot. And somebody needs to tell him, no, Miroslav, you're not. I don't care if you like doing it. Do it on your free time. Every other hour of this entire week, you can do whatever the fuck you want, but for this hour on Wednesday nights, this is what I want from you. You can go do whatever you want on Twitch afterwards. You can go do whatever you want on Twitch from fucking Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. But on this day, on Wednesdays, this is what I want from you, sir. And I cannot imagine that thing is video game guy that's here having fun and has 50-50 matches with Sonny Kiss and Joey Janela.
Here's the thing about it, though. The fault of this is sometimes AEW kind of prides themselves on allowing the wrestlers to have some creative input.
Sure, yeah.
And have some creative freedom. And sometimes that works. And it's clearly worked in a lot of cases. And wrestlers have come across far better in AEW than they have in other places, because they're allowed to stretch their legs and have some input and cut their own promos. But Rich, sometimes you're going to have a situation like this where it's a dud and it doesn't work out. And the wrestler doesn't know what's best for himself or herself. And that's when Mid-South Tony needs to step in and say, listen, this is not working out how we planned. You're firmly entrenching yourself in the mid-card here. Now, look, I'm still not writing him off because I'm stubborn. But if he's going to turn on Kip Sabian, and that ultimately is the plan, it's got to happen soon. It's got to have some impact. And you can't wait too much longer to where the perception of him is just a geek who hangs out with another geek. And that'll be tough to shake at that point. Shit or get off the pot if he's going to split up with Kip Sabian, and this was just a device to get him into the company. The problem, Rich, is I'm getting the impression that he's not going to turn on Kip.
I think this is it. I think this is, the game over. I mean, with that being his, when they said, oh, that's the game over, we're calling that move the game over, I went, uh-oh. That is game over for me, because once you establish that, that leads me to believe that is his character now, is Miroslav, the Twitch streamer, who is friends with Kip Sabian, who also is on Twitch.
Yeah, and the other big counter argument you hear outside of, well, he's being himself, is, well, young audiences connect with video games and Gucci. Okay, I don't disagree. But when you present somebody in that light, okay, I don't have a problem with presenting people in that light if they're going to be prelim guys or mid-card guys. That's fine. There should have been bigger designs and bigger plans for this guy than being a mid-card.
Or they're 20 years old and not 36 or whatever the hell he is, too.
Right, and it has to fit exactly that too. Because as we said a million times, I mean, you give this gimmick to someone else who it fits their aura better, then there's no problem with it. You know, and it's like, here's what's universal, though. Here's what appeals to all demographics, okay? People who kick ass and come across tough and have personal issues with other people on the roster.
We're going to talk about that here in a minute. We're going to talk about somebody who died this week that was very good at that thing that you're about to talk about. So, yes.
That cuts across all demographics, okay? You know, you can do the gimmicky stuff on your undercard all day long, and I don't have a problem with it. And again, if ultimately this is what Miro is, we're gonna hop off of this soapbox and never complain about it again. If he's mid-card Miro, he's mid-card Miro. If he's just there to collect a check and be tongue-in-cheek video game guy, that's fine. It's just disappointing because you could do that with anyone.
Right. Well, we will stop talking, and that's the thing that I think people always get mixed up with you and I, is that when we really complain about something, when we really get annoyed about something, it's because we want it to be better. We want it to be good. We want to enjoy it. You're going to hear us with the laziest bullshit WWE preview you have ever heard in your life here later in the show, because we just don't care anymore. The first 6 years of the show, we cared, and we went, Joe, I can't believe they're doing this with this guy and that. I don't care anymore. Now I don't get mad. I'm just like, yeah, whatever. All right, cool. The Clash of Champions. All right, cool. There we go. We're done. When we complain about something, it's because we want it to be good more times than not. We don't usually complain about shit that we hate. The American Indies. We don't complain because we hate the American Indies. We want the American Indies to be great. You know, we don't complain about stuff in New Japan because we, want New Japan to suck. We want it to be good. Like, everything that we complain or give time to is because we want it to be good. And that's the thing with Miro, is like, if I didn't care, if I just thought he was going to be a dude on the mid card and that was his ceiling, then yeah, I'd say, okay, whatever. Yeah. Miro's in AEW, cool. But the fact that we think he's so much more, that we think has so much more potential, is what makes us so, angry and opinionated about it. So, yeah.
Well, if people would trust my perfectly honed instincts on these things,
they would know.
I mean, these are the kind of things that we're never wrong about. And let me say something else. This is number 3, and I was saving this one for last. This is my magnum opus of being right. This is my greatest victory lap of all time, because all of my hardest of the hardcore haters have been coming at me for over a week on this one. And I have been proven so right that they are all backpedaling and adjusting their takes and scrambling into trying to find an angle to still say that I was wrong. But, Rich, I couldn't have been more right about this one. The people listening to the daily tournament audio know that I was dead on, 1,000,000% correct on Kazuchika Okada working like shit as a storyline. It has now been confirmed. He's talking about it in his post-match promos.
Right.
Kota Ibushi is talking about it.
Yeah, that's the moment, and I think I tweeted out about it as well. I just kind of said jokingly, he Okada's washed, or this is now a story because, like, Kota Ibushi goes like, this guy kind of sucked tonight, didn't he? And it's like, if Kota Ibushi's saying that, like, that's the story now. There's no way that Kota Ibushi would be like, bro kind of sucks now. I don't know what the hell happened, unless, yeah, of course, that is going to be a story. And now Okada's coming out and saying, yeah, dude, I just didn't have it that night. I don't know, I sucked. I won, but it wasn't my best effort. So, yes, we're good.
I've got to figure out what to do to change. This isn't working. This was all a story all along. And quite honestly, I couldn't believe that people were disagreeing with me to begin with. Did you watch the Ibushi match? Did you see him do none of his signature stuff? Did you see him blow the match at the end because he tried something stupid? Did you watch him lose to Yano? Did you watch the match against Yujiro where, again, he didn't do any of his signature moves?
He did hit the dropkick, which, by the way, looked exactly how an Okada dropkick does, despite the fact that his back and knees and everything is shot, so...
Well, he also blew the drop. Yujiro also evaded the dropkick multiple times.
Yes, because then he realized, okay, I can do the dropkick. Oh, cool, I got my dropkick again. And he just kept doing it, and like it didn't work every single time. So
he's yet to hit a Rainmaker since.
Has he tried? Has he even tried one?
He's not even. This is the story here, and listen, the fact.
No, I believe that Okada just sucks so much now that he doesn't even bother trying the Rainmaker anymore. So
let's put aside the fact that I was right, that they're telling a story here, because that part's obvious now. All of my haters are now adjusting their counter takes and pretending that they had it's pretty embarrassing to watch them all scramble now, since people hate when I'm right, because listen to me gloat when I'm right.
It's pretty annoying. I'm annoyed, and I'm your co-host, so yeah.
So I get it. Okay, it really bothers them that I was right about this one, because they came at me from all angles. I was like the only person on this lonely island of this is all a story, because I pay attention. It's just like other people don't pay attention. Like, what are you watching? You're watching something else. But let's put aside that I was right about this, because that part's obvious. I want to be clear. The work here is not that he's having bad matches on purpose. That is not the work. It's a little more subtle than that. The work here is that this is a wrestler who used to be on top, who, for whatever reason, is trying to do it a different way now. Okay? He's trying to win matches a different way. He's claiming he doesn't care about the double title. He's clearly working. He's eliminated a lot of his signature moves. Doesn't even attempt them anymore. The dive over the rail and, the Rainmaker, and you can go right down the line. And one of the byproducts of him attempting to work a different way and being awkward in the ring, which he's also clearly doing on purpose, okay, is that the matches aren't as good as they were with the way he was working before. Am I making sense to you?
Yeah, I get it. No, I get it. Don't worry. I get it.
He's not going out there with the idea of, all right, I'm going to go out there and have a shitty match. He's going out there to work this angle and work this story of being a man who's trying to do it a different way. But but it's awkward because he's trying something new. Every time he tries the money clip, he struggles to put it on. Do people legitimately think after all this time he doesn't know how to apply the move? Are you really that dense? Could you really be that dense to think that he legitimately doesn't know how to apply the move?
Yeah, and the retort I hear from a lot of people is that, like, yes, it's a shitty story, and I agree. You might think it's a shitty story. You might think it's kind of annoying.
I was going to get that. It is look. It's the matches stink.
Yeah, we had just a wasted Kota Ibushi Okada match, which is not good given what we've had. It's like, damn, we really wanted something good here. Yujiro, whatever. If you want to tell that story with Yujiro, I think he should have lost to Yujiro. Honestly, we'll talk about that when we talk about the G1.
But too, absolutely, he should have lost that match. But it's like, and I'm not even saying you have to like this story, Rich. I don't like the story. I'd rather see Okada going out there having great matches than to watch these bad matches, which are a byproduct of the story he's telling. Okay? I just want people to acknowledge that I was right all along. This was a story. It was obvious to me. But I think there's a couple different issues at play. Number one, people just love disagreeing with me because they hate me. And I understand that. I've been doing this 8 years. People don't like me and they love to disagree with me. The other thing is people badly wanted to use this as their confirmation bias that Okada is washed up. Because a lot of this is coming from people who are not Okada fans. A lot of this is coming from people who are tired of Okada getting all kinds of praise, while whoever their fave is doesn't get the same kind of praise from people like Dave Meltzer, or maybe even people like us, or whoever the fuck. Okay,
yeah, so we're tastemakers on that level. I mean, we've seen that over the years. We kind of gravitate towards somebody, we put somebody over, and slowly but surely, legions of fans now start to say, actually, Katsumiya Hara is not good.
Yeah, we definitely, no doubt about it. And it's like, and I like Okada. He's not he's not one of my favorite wrestlers of all time or anything, but I like him. I'm a fan of his. But it's like, I think there's some of that too, where it was like, oh, well, this is our chance to get him because he's having these bad matches and maybe this is, so it's like, and that's what fandom's about. This is all in good fun.
Sure.
And
yeah.
I'm kind of doing, now look, I'm
I was going to say somewhat gimmick, about 44.5% gimmick here, but
I'm half serious and half doing a bit. You know what I mean? It's good audio material. It's getting me through these tournament shows. You can't just come on these tournament shows and sit there and recap the moves. Nobody cares.
Right, you've created your own feuds. You're going Michael Jordan style here, where you've just decided that Thunder Dan Marley said some bullshit about you, so now you're upset at Thunder Dan Marley. And it's motivating you to get through these.
Well, let me be clear. People really came at me for this. I mean, I'm not making that part up. Like, we're getting subtweeted, and people are calling me nuts in chat rooms and Discords and whatnot, and they're mocking me. And this, I'm telling you, though, this is my magnum opus of being right. I have never been happier about a victory lap than I am about this one. I wanted this one so bad, Rich. I knew I was right all along, but we needed the confirmation. I needed that Okada post-match promo. I needed commentary to talk about it. I needed Kota Ibushi to say, yeah, I won tonight, but man, Okada was really off his game. And I couldn't beat him in January, and I want to face the guy I faced in January again. Did people not hear that promo after the first match? That wasn't enough of a clue for you? You literally had to hear it come out of Okada's match 2 nights later? So yeah, I've never felt better about being right than I feel about this one. And because I know that it's eating away at them that I was right about this one, because they finally thought they had me. Rich. And let me tell you something. They don't have me now, and they'll never have me. You know why? Because I have perfectly honed instincts. And people need to understand that if you come at me, you're really putting your neck out there, because I'm very rarely wrong about these things. I know what I'm talking about. Get into it.
There it is. All right. We got plenty to talk about today. We got a loaded show. We're going to check in on the G1 Climax. Did a little bit there, but we're going to go through every single guy, talk about where they're at so far, what they've done so far in the G1, and some standout matches, or kind of the thoughts of, four nights in, sort of the narrative around each wrestler so far in the G1. We're going to do the same, or at least briefly do it for the N1 Victory 2020, which you were doing both of those over at patreon.com/voices of wrestling as well, doing daily audio. Anytime those shows are happening, you're doing reviews at patreon.com/voice wrestling. $5 tier, which is awesome that you're doing that. We'll talk a little bit. Well, we kind of did the AEW, but I think we do have to talk about the COVID positives coming in from Florida, from AEW. A lot of whispers, a lot of kind of wink, wink, nudge, nudge of some other names. More may come out as we're doing the show. I'm kind of checking it as we go, but we'll talk about that. Rumor has it there's a WWE pay-per-view this weekend. We asked our Twitter followers. 69% of them said that no, there is not a WWE pay-per-view going on this weekend. So I don't know. I found a list of matches. I'm not sure if it's for this weekend, if it's next. I don't know what it is, but apparently WWE Clash of Champions is happening, and apparently these are matches. That's the rumor going around. I don't know. Whatever. We'll also touch on the...
Isn't there 2? There's a takeover as well.
Takeover's on the 4th of October. That one I can confirm is happening.
Shows how much I know.
Yes.
I may have perfectly honed instincts, but I don't have perfectly honed...
No read for WWE schedule anymore. No, nobody has any idea what the hell is going on with the WWE schedule anymore. So, their rumor has it there's a pay-per-view this Sunday, Clash of Champions, but officially I can confirm October 4th there is an NXT TakeOver. It does not have a sub-name. It's just NXT TakeOver. Whatever. And I don't know if the card's done because half the roster has a COVID. So, and then we're also going to talk about the Dragongate cage match as well. That had... big steel cage main event from Dangerous Gate 2020. But before we do any of that, though, we do have to start the show with some unfortunate news, and that is the passing away of Road Warrior Animal. He joins Road Warrior Hawk, who passed away, man, what 2006, I want to say Hawk passed away. I do not have that in front of me. I think it's 2005, 2006, somewhere in that range. But unfortunately, news earlier this week that Road Warrior Animal passed away at, I believe he was, 60? I think he was, so not,
60, yeah.
Yeah, not young, but not, not old either, so.
he probably shouldn't be dying at 60.
No.
I mean, I didn't see the cause of death. But, there's a decent probability it has something to do with his years of steroid use and whatnot, dying at the age that he died and everything else with the history. But as of this show, I haven't seen any cause of death.
I haven't either. Yeah, I haven't seen a thing either, so.
But I think it's fair to speculate in that direction. Because, he didn't, I didn't hear anything about any health problems or anything like that.
It did seem kind of out of nowhere. Yeah, he's not a guy that, and he's not a guy either that you would have, like when Hawk passed away, it was kind of like, oh yeah, that seems like something that's going to probably happen at some point pretty soon. Not to be cruel about it, but given, the way Hawk lived his life, it was like not a huge surprise that he passed away when he did. But yeah, the stuff about Animal, I hadn't heard of any health issues, and I know he was at All In. I remember seeing him at StarCast that weekend as well. Like, I think he was at WrestleMania weekend last year as well when we were there. And yeah, there was I didn't hear anything of like, oh yeah, he's going through this or he's going through that or whatever. So yeah, it does seem pretty sudden. And you're probably right. You're probably on the right path there. That good chance heart attack and good chance steroids probably played a part in that. But we don't know definitively at this time, so who knows? So.
Hawk died in the middle of, all those wrestlers dying in their 40s. So
yeah. Oh yeah.
That was a weird time where it felt like wrestlers were dropping off, once a month. It's just all those guys from that era were just constantly passing away. But yeah, I mean the Road Warriors, what else can you say? They're the greatest tag team of all time. That's just all there is to it in terms of star power and just presence and influence and, the way they changed the game. They are the greatest tag team of all time. So, it's you can't really you can't really overstate how they changed tag team wrestling moving forward. And not just with the copycat teams that came after them.
Right, which in of itself is like enough of a case for them to be the all-time great, because literally every single territory, every single wrestling promotion had a rip-off Road Warriors tag team at some point.
Yeah.
WWF at one point, I think, had 4 of them at the same time, including the Road Warriors at one point when they come in, and there's the WWF is littered with other recreations of the Road Warriors, including the Road Warriors themselves, which was just incredible when that happened. But yeah, like literally every single promotion had a rip-off Road Warriors tag team. Every single one. Every one.
Well, I mean, even, Powers of Pain and Demolition are the two obvious ones because they were the most successful to totally copy that formula. But, every indie show had, a bunch of guys who were, would come out in the shoulder pads and the face paint, whoever the two biggest jacked up guys were on the show. And then you had a lot of failed attempts to copy the Road Warriors in major league promotions, like, the Master Blasters and teams like that. I think that was the, young Kevin Nash, right?
Yes.
Kevin Nash and Al Green.
Yeah. It was Kevin Nash and Al Green. Pre-Oz, I think, right?
Yeah, pre-Oz, yeah. Master Blasters, oh, yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So, and so even outside of the knockoff teams, which, you're always going to get when an act is, we talked about it with Kamala, and all the knockoff Kamalas that followed, just their style, with the no selling and the ass kicking, definitely influenced a generation of bodybuilder types and how they worked. I mean, it was the Goldberg formula is what it was. That's what the Road Warriors were. They would come into the territory as heels and they would no sell and, beat all the baby faces in really short matches and dominate them. And then what would happen is kind of that Road Warrior effect that I always talk about, where it's not always bad to just book a heel strong and just have them kick everybody's ass and beat them. Because a lot of times the end result of that is the fans are going to take to them. And what you're going to end up with is a money drawing babyface. You get them over as heels. The fans see them as ass kickers and they start to cheer them. And this would happen to the Road Warriors in every territory they went to. And then, then you would turn them and you'd have money drawing faces because they were already established as badasses who, ran through all the baby faces. And then you go from there. The problem was, once that pattern ran its course, they kind of would run out of steam in the territory. But they were perfect for that time because then they would just bounce to the next one.
Right.
They'd go back to Vern Gagne, or they'd stop by in Memphis, or they'd go back to Georgia, or whatever. And they would bounce around and just rinse, repeat. And that's why, and you don't want to do it with all of your heels, but that's why I don't believe in this idea that heels always have to cheat and be manipulative and
right. That's WWE bullshit. Yeah, get that out of your head. That was not the case for years.
Bullshit though, because even people like Jim Ross believe in that.
Right. Right.
And even in a lot of the territories, they believed in that. But I do think that if with select heels, if you just book them strong, there's nothing wrong if the fans start to take to them and they get over.
Right, you go in that direction then. You go with it.
Yeah. The name of the game in pro wrestling is to create money-drawing stars. And one of the best ways to do that is that Road Warrior formula that I've always talked about on this show. We're just book them strong as heels. The fans are naturally going to take to them. And then you turn them, and you've got yourself babyface stars. There's nothing wrong with that. And, I think it's a good way to book certain heels who you see down the line being potential baby faces. And then what that also does, Rich, if you book your heels that way, when they do cheat, it has more impact. Because now you're really mad. It puts a lot of heat on that heel now, because when his back really was against the wall and the babyface star did Adam beat, he took the shortcut. And that's more effective to me than doing it every time. So there's a lot of advantages to booking heels the way that the Road Warriors were booked. Okay. They didn't have Paul Ellering tripping their opponent coming off the ropes or holding the opponent's leg for leverage. They didn't put their legs on the rope to pin guys. No, they came into the territory. They beat the living shit out of everybody and won all their matches. And then surprise, that got them over. And then they were able to be the biggest money drawing tag team of all time based on that formula. Which, Rich, people get frustrated with us because, especially with the recent Miro stuff, because they think that we're all about just treating everybody like an ass kicker. Not everybody, but people like this who have that kind of aura, it's a proven formula. People like people who kick ass and win all
exactly. I know. That's the thing is people run from it and they say, "Oh, no, you can't, not anymore. You can't do it." Dude, we saw, and this show was around when we saw the Ryback push. Remember that? All they did was bring Ryback in and he beat everybody. And then he got a match with CM Punk, and the fucking buy rate was huge because fans like that. Hey, this guy that's the champion is going to face a guy that hasn't lost yet. I'm curious what's going to happen. And they bought it. They bought the fucking pay-per-view. It's like not that hard. It's worked time and time and time again. And like you say, we don't want the entire roster of that, but god damn, like there are obvious people that are work for this. Like there's no other way to book Mike Hextron and James Laurinaitis than the way that they did. You know what I mean? Like that. Look at those dudes. Look at what they look like.
Yeah.
That's how you book them. They just go in, they fucking lariat guys, they take dudes' heads off, they jump at the top rope, and they fucking take a guy, break a guy's neck, and then they pin him, and they win, and they go away. And they come out to Iron Man, and they wear face paint. You know what I mean? Like it's just, it's so obvious and so easy. But yeah, it's not universal. It's not always the same. But God, don't run away from this. If this opportunity to book people like this is there, and you got a guy or you got a team that looks like this or acts like, do it. Go ahead. Why not?
Yeah, no, it's not going to work for the Young Bucks. It's not going to work for Ricky Starks. It's not going to work for Kenny Omega. Everyone has their own slot that they fit in, and the idea in pro wrestling is to emphasize the strengths and hide the weaknesses. And you used Ryback. That was a great example, and there's a more recent example too where they had it and then they lost it because they booked it into oblivion, and that was Braun Strowman. Yeah, same thing. They had him hot.
Yeah. Local guys. He just beat him for months on end. Yeah,
and then they found a way to book that into oblivion and blow that too. So that's all. That's Road Warriors were a very simple formula that has proven to work as long as the people have the necessary charisma. And for people who weren't around for peak Road Warriors, and unless we have listeners that are like over the age of 45. 50-ish, because that's really what you're talking here.
Right. Yeah. I grew up hating the Road Warriors because I thought they sucked. Like I started watching, really getting into wrestling in like 97 was about, like I watched it a little bit in 94, 95, like kind of dabbled in it or whatever, but like I was all in like 97, and they were just these old dudes wearing face paint. I fucking hated them. And then 98 is just a complete disaster because that's when Hawk's drunk and Draws and all this sort of stuff. And I hated those guys. I thought they were so lame. And it wasn't until like years later when I went back and watched them, I was like, oh my God, how awesome are these guys? But yeah, unless you were there from 81, 82, 83. Yeah, is really the real year where they kind of come into their own. And then 83 to like 87 or whatever is basically probably their highest point.
I would call that their peak. And then through 90 is when it was vintage Road Warriors. And then 91 when they went to WWF and became Legion of Doom and added the red. But here's the thing, it's like that's the thin line in pro wrestling where, man, it's just such a fine line. Those minor adjustments to them. They were part of the Legion of Doom. Okay, so they were always, known as the Legion of Doom. But Vince dropped the Road Warrior part of the name and just called them Legion of Doom. Now, that's not such a huge deal, but at the same time, the Road Warriors were an iconic tag team already at that point. So it did hurt them to a degree, dropping that part of the name. Then adding the red. And it's like just those slight changes. It's crazy how in wrestling that even those small changes can slightly skew how someone is perceived or how they get over. Now, the beginning of their run in WWF was good because they came in and just killed people. Powers of Pain. Not Powers of Pain.
Power and Glory, yeah.
Is the
Sour and Gory is what I think I called them, yeah.
Yeah, because they broke up the Powers of Pain when they knew the Road Warriors were coming.
Right. Because, again, there was a ripoff team, and then the real guys were coming, and they said, oh, well, we don't need a ripoff team, so.
Yeah, and Demolition were still hanging around at the end, too, and they won a feud against Demolition. They won a bunch of 2-on-3 matches, or at that point, Axe may not have even been wrestling anymore. It was right around when Axe was starting to hang it up, and Crush was still was around. and they broke up the Powers of Pain before they got there. And the Power and Glory Squash is the famous one. But the longer that WWE run lasted, the more of the aura started to disappear. So if you're talking the peak of the run, it's like you said, about 83 to 87. And then, they were still the Road Warriors and had the aura through the end of that Crockett run was it still Crockett when they left in 90?
I think it had already turned over.
It may have been Turner at that point.
I think it had just started with the Turner, because that's what 89. Yeah. I think it had started a little bit of the Turner era.
So they worked in the Turner era for a small time. Yeah, because they didn't go to WWE until 91.
Correct. Yeah.
So that was kind of it for them, and then their aura slowly faded away. So yeah, by the time you became a fan, the aura was gone.
Oh, it was gone. Yeah, and even going back and watching old tapes too. It's not like, because I started watching in 97 and 98, like becoming a real hardcore fan. But then I would also go back and watch old stuff. But the problem was my reference of what I was going back and watching was old WWF pay-per-views. So 91, 92, 90, 89, and even then, like, they come out and I'm like, yeah, I don't know. They got like a fucking dummy with them and shit. I'm like, I don't know. These guys are cool. Like I just never thought that they were cool or they were badasses or whatever. And and that probably is an issue with how WWE presented them, and like you said, there was a lot of just little subtle changes they did and little dumb things that they did. But then you go back and you watch those peak eras. You go and watch them in AWA. You go and watch them in Georgia. You go watch them even in Japan. There's some really cool stuff. I was watching a little bit earlier. Them versus Jumbo and Tenryu. There were some pretty fun matches there as well. And you see, and you're like, oh yeah, I get it now. These are the dudes. Or even when they went, even the brief period where they were in Japan. After WWF was pretty interesting as well. Or Hawk actually was there, and you see his full potential or whatever. But yeah, the parts that I saw in like real time was like I saw a little bit of the WCW run, that 96 WCW run, which is no good at all. I don't think so. I mean, some people might disagree, but I just don't think they really clicked. And then the WWF stuff was just, that 97, 98 stuff was just terrible. LOD 2000 and Hawk's Drunk and all this sort of stuff. It's just awful stuff. And yeah, I didn't hate. I thought they sucked. And then you go back and you're like, oh yeah, like they're great. And similar to when we talked about Kamala, like I don't know that you and I can come on here and say, okay, here are the 7 Road Warriors matches you need to watch, or there's not. I mean, just it's the Road Warriors. Just watch a match and watch them kill somebody. Normally I would say go on Monsoon Classic, but we can't do that anymore because life's not fair. Because that channel got nuked, which makes me very upset even thinking about it. But like normally I would say, yeah, just like you type in Road Warriors and then just watch Road Warriors matches, watch them take guys' heads off. Because I don't know that there's any match that I could definitively say, yeah, this is a great Road Warriors match. That isn't like a War Games, or that Chicago Street Fight from WrestleMania 13 is really good. The Canadian Stampede match, they're in that main event there. But like otherwise, yeah, I don't know. It's just like them beating people up, and that wasn't their aura. Their aura wasn't that we're gonna have a great match. The aura was we're gonna beat people up and look like $1 million, and people are gonna buy all of our merchandise and love us and cheer us when we come out. So
it's like I said, the best comparison for someone who wasn't around. It was like Goldberg.
Yeah,
it was like Goldberg coming out every week and just beating Jerry Flynn in 30 seconds.
I was about to say Jerry Flynn too. I love that we had to say it.
Jerry Flynn is always the go-to Goldberg opponent.
Yeah, right? He had some great matches with old Goldberg. Yeah, with this little rat tail flying in the air, whatever, as he's getting destroyed. Yeah.
But I mean, these guys in the mid '80s. Okay, first of all, they were all over the magazine covers, and just look at them.
Yes, yeah. Jump off the page. Like they are one of, I would say, when you talk about definitive, like the look of wrestlers, and even the WWF. I know you mentioned like the red, how that was kind of off-putting or whatever, but it was so bright red. And their face paint was so like you just know that it's just an iconic look. The Road Warriors. You want like the WrestleFest video game you look at, and it's like, oh my god, look at those guys! Like that's pro wrestling 101. Is they just jump off the page.
They fucking look like big tough guys.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with it. Why do we run from that now?
I don't know.
I don't understand. Like they look larger than life and bigger and tougher than everybody, and there's really nothing wrong with that. And it's like, so they would come into a territory in the mid 80s and looking the way that they did. These huge jacked guys, they look intimidating. They don't sell for anybody. They work intimidating. And they'd show up in Minnesota, for Vern, where the fans were used to seeing goobers like Greg Gagne or Jim Brunzell or whoever was there at the time. No offense to those guys, but they have these guys come in. You have these guys come in looking the way they do, or they would show up in the Carolinas, and you go to a show in the Carolinas and you're used to watching, schleppy old guys like Johnny Weaver or something. with their terrible fucking, grandpa bods and, their slow work. And then you have these two guys come out wearing spikes, squashing these nerds in 90 seconds and looking like they're the baddest motherfuckers on the planet. And you can easily see how they went from place to place and instantly got over and legitimately became the best drawing tag team of all time to this day. I mean, it's a simple formula and it works. And they repeated it with Goldberg. It was the same thing. And what happens every time to kill these kinds of pushes? Some dopey, stupid, overbooked loss. That's what killed Goldberg. That's what killed Ryback. That's what killed Braun Strowman. These pushes work if it's the right guy. Now, you can't just do it with anybody because we talked about the knockoff teams. And if you didn't have the necessary charisma or you didn't come across like a bad motherfucker, this kind of shit, well, it's like anything else. It's not going to work. Okay? I think AEW has one right under their nose with Wardlow. And I think they're doing a great job with Wardlow.
Oh, I agree. Yeah.
Because when he does wrestle, he wrestles sparingly. And he wrestles, he'll wrestle a jobber and he just goes in there and does his nasty shit.
Right. And I think one of the cool things about Wardlow, and one of the things that I remember mostly about Animal and Hawk, was specifically Animal, I would say even more than Hawk, is that he looked like a yoked up, gigantic human being, but dude could move. Like, he could move. Like, when he hit you, it sounded like he hit you. It hurt. There was an intensity to the way he worked, and that was the problem with a lot of the rip-off Road Warrior teams. Is they just went, we just need to run it up, guy. All right, Warlord, get in here. And Warlord can't work like that. He's just yoked up out of his mind. But he didn't have the intensity, the speed, the badassness that like Animal had, and Hawk had as well. And that's what was the key. Is not that these guys were gigantic human beings, which is obviously a huge help, but the fact that when they hit you, it sounded like it hurt. It looked like it hurt, and it probably hurt. You know what I mean? It probably did actually hurt a little bit, but there was that intensity that they had. And you're right, Wardlow has that as well. He's not just a guy, a roided up big giant guy that they said, oh yeah, go be, Goldberg. No, it's all about the intensity that you work with too. And Goldberg's a perfect example of a guy who could mix the two and not just be a big yoked up guy.
Powers of Pain had the look. I mean, they arguably looked better.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, my God. Warlord, the first time you see him, you're like, what in the world is that human being? And
that might, if the Warlord, if 1988 Warlord in the Powers of Pain gimmick walked in your living room right now, he might be the largest human being you've ever seen in your life.
Yeah.
And the guy was a monster. And Barbarian, of course. I mean, Barbarian was probably a better athlete and a better wrestler than any of the four. If we're talking about the Road Warriors and the Powers of Pain.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, no doubt. Yeah.
And Powers of Pain were a great team, but this is what I'm talking about. They didn't have the charisma of Hawk and Animal, which is why when they would come into your promotion or your territory, they would remain heels. Okay? And that's the mistake that Vince McMahon made when he brought the Powers of Pain in because he couldn't get the Road Warriors. He brought them in as baby faces because he thought, well, they look like the Road Warriors. So I can just make these guys baby faces and recreate the success that everybody has had with the Road Warriors. And it flopped because as good as Warlord and Barbarian looked and as effective as they were as a team, because they were a good team, they didn't have it. They didn't have the necessary charisma to be baby faces. They had to be heels. And then, of course, they did the double turn with Demolition, and then the rest is history. But that's a perfect example of just – you try to recreate it, but the charisma still has to be there. That's still a necessary component. You just can't take a juiced up guy and throw face paint on him because that was tried time and time again, over and over again. And it wasn't that simple. And these guys just had it. They had the right mix of cockiness and just that intangible charisma that you can't teach. That every now and then I reference it that, Conan says in Mexico, I don't know the Spanish words for it, but he says in Mexico, they call it having an angel. And you can't explain it and you can't teach it. You either have it or you don't. And he says when he was coming up in the early days, all of the old timers would tell him that he had that. He has an angel. There's something about you that makes you different. And Conan was, obviously became a major star and he's got that thing that other guys didn't have. There were other guys that Conan looked great, but there were obviously a million other muscled up guys, over the years in Mexico and everywhere else. It's same thing with the Road Warriors.
Yeah.
They had that thing and it was just the perfect mix. And maybe they needed to be together because neither one of them were going anywhere on their own. I mean, both of them were going to quit wrestling.
Yeah, neither. Honestly, you know, if we boil it down, like neither of them were all that talented at like the actual bell to bell pro wrestling, but it didn't fucking matter. You know what I mean? Like,
emphasize the strengths.
Yep.
And hide the weaknesses. What can these guys do? Well, they could come across like fucking total badasses. Okay, then just do that.
Yeah.
Go out there and beat the Mulkeys before your entrance music stops.
Right.
That's all. Don't overexpose them. You know, that was the whole idea. They went out there, they'd have 6-minute matches, Rich. Even in their big matches, they'd have 6-minute matches. Because, you know, that's it. Emphasize the strengths, hide the weaknesses.
Yeah, I went back and I watched, there was a Fabulous Ones, a Stan Lane, I'm blanking on the fucking
Steve Kern.
Yeah, Steve Kern. I don't know why I was blanking on the name. Yeah, where it was Road Warriors versus the Fabulous Ones, and it was like a big time matchup. It was for the tag team titles. All that sort. It goes 8 minutes and 30 seconds because it's like you don't need to go 25 minutes with the Road Warriors. It got the story. And
watching it through modern eyes, you probably felt a little cheated. You're like, what's going on? But
yeah, right. But then I was like, oh no, yeah, of course I don't want to go fucking 25 minutes with the Road Warriors. Like, you don't need that. And yeah, it's pretty amazing how, and this is pretty recently, we this is a name that you brought up and I think we talked about a little bit on this podcast. And I'm not saying that, I'm not comparing them directly to the Road Warriors. Of course not. That'd be ludicrous to say that because they might have just been another one of those ripoffs in the many, many lines. But like, the Authors of Pain, AOP, it's like, look at those fucking dudes. How do you not figure out a way to do something with those guys? NXT did, and by shock of all shock, what a weird formula. They came in and beat the fuck out of everybody until they became a top team. They get to WWE, they get to the main roster, they have no idea what to do with these guys. No clue.
Yeah.
What do you do? I mean, and it's like, oh man, like, it's
yeah. It's
shouldn't be that hard, but
I agree that they're a derivative of that act, and you still see derivatives of the Road Warrior act. I would argue that like the War Raider Viking Party, whatever they're called,
sure,
is a derivative of that. All through the 90s, even, if you didn't wear face paint and all that, the Pitbulls in ECW. I mean, who were they aping? It was the Road Warriors. You know what I mean? Like, even teams like that, these were all derivatives of this act with all varying levels of success. So, yeah, just hugely influential from multiple perspectives. And like I said, not even just teams trying to rip them off. Just the match style and not even just tag teams. You see those kinds of pushes attempted to be recreated with singles guys. So yeah, just a great team, and you really it's. I assume most of our listeners are under the age of 50 who wouldn't really remember them coming to their hometown territory. So it is really worth seeking that stuff out and just listening to some of the pops that they would get too. Even as heels,
the infamous Road Warrior pop. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why they call it the Road Warrior pop. That's exactly right. So the place would just explode because they knew they were seeing something special because, you just sat through, if you were in, whatever territory, you just sat through some Denny Brown versus, Les Thornton opener or something. And, a Johnny Weaver tag match. And, if you're in the Mid-Atlantic area, these are some of the names I'm going with, I guess. And then the Road Warriors would come out, and it's just a completely different energy and just everything you think about when you think about the stereotypical pro wrestler. And that's what these guys were. And they just felt different. And they shook up every territory they came to, and they would instantly work on top soon after they arrived. And, they without question are the greatest tag team of all time. And we were briefly earlier this week on Twitter talking about like the Mount Rushmore of tag teams or whatever. And, the Road Warriors are probably, the only absolute you have to have on the list.
Well, them and Degeneration X, of course. You can't,
Well,
can't leave them out.
I don't want to pick on the guy who said that.
Yeah, no problem.
That stunk. But, look, you can haggle about the other three. The one you cannot haggle about under any circumstances is the Road Warriors.
Yeah, they have to be there. Chisel them in, put the fucking spikes up. The spikes are up. It looked badass too anyway. So you want them on that Mount Rushmore regardless. But yeah, they're up there.
Yeah, they're just a legendary pro wrestling act from the golden age of pro wrestling, and the mid '80s, which until the Attitude Era was peak pro wrestling, in this country, thanks to Hulkamania and all of that, and Hulk Hogan, but from a memorable era, one of the most memorable acts. And they achieved that before they ever stepped foot in a WWF ring. They were when I was a kid, when I was a young kid, you know, in the 80s, I'm talking first, second grade or whatever. And you know, me and my friends liked wrestling, and we were in New Jersey. So it was WWF country, right? That's what we had on TV until we discovered TBS when you get a little bit older. And, you know, you read the magazines and all that. The only wrestler, the Road Warriors were some of the only wrestlers that we had heard of and idolized and knew what they looked like, who we had never even seen wrestle. You know what I mean? It's like, they were, it didn't matter that they weren't in W. They were one of those few wrestlers that you heard of and knew about, even as a kid, pre-internet, before they even wrestled in your area. You knew who they were.
Yeah, well, one thing I always remember about when they did come to WWF is that, like, Vince didn't even try. I mean, he tried to change the name. He tried to change the colors a little bit. You know what I mean? He tried to do that sort of stuff. But, like, they came out and they were instantly the biggest stars. Like, they were instantly the biggest tag team, to the point where he just gave them the titles right away, too. You know what I mean? Like, he just beat everybody and got the titles right away, because it was like, and they didn't have to tell any elaborate story. They were just like, yeah, the Road, you know who they are, whatever. Like, just go out, you know? They didn't do anything. They just came out, they kicked ass, and they just said, yeah, whatever. Like, Vince so badly, every time a guy would come in, he would change him, and this gimmick, that. And yes, he did little subtle changes with the Road Warriors, but only so much, because they were just going to be over already. So it was just like, you know what, fuck it, Road Warriors, you know who they are. And they came out and they're instantly gigantic stars because everybody knew who they were already.
Yeah, exactly. That speaks to my point. It's like, he knew he didn't have to, like, introduce these guys. Like, he knew his crowds were going to pop for them instantly, you know, and he had to put his little touches on them, which, you know, I'm not saying that, like, destroyed them, but it's just, in wrestling, all those little things are important. You know, it's like, he gave people a version of his version. He has to, he just insists on putting his touches on everything. And if there's one thing that you didn't need to fuck with, it was the Road Warriors. I mean, what about that act would you willingly, like, why would you change anything about them? You know, I understand you're not going to use Iron Man because you don't want to, you know, even in that era, you know, so the new music is one thing, but all of the other subtle changes, what it does is it just makes it feel just that small amount less authentic than it needed. Do you know what I mean when I say that? And it's like,
yeah, of course. Yeah.
You feel like you're not getting the full authentic version. It's close, but it's not the full authentic version. And it just, I do believe that had a bit of an effect on, you know, on how they got over. And then by the time you get to, like, the Rocco era, forget it. By
92, they're done. Yeah. Or late 91, 92, they're done.
Yeah. And I think that Vince kind of didn't see that instant main event return that maybe he was expecting. I think that maybe they were a little disappointed in their spots on the card, because they were main eventers everywhere and they were not main eventers in WWF. And it became obvious that they never really were going to be after the first 6 months or so. So I think, you know, everyone involved kind of just, it was straight downhill from there in terms of, you know, their star power. And then, you know, like you said, by the time, like, they reform in like 96 in WCW.
Yeah, because Hawk goes to Japan, obviously does the Power Warrior stuff and the you know, the Hellraisers and that sort of stuff. But yeah, by 96 they come back in WCW for that really weird period. That it seems hard to believe that it even existed. And I think honestly it was 4 or 5 months at most, maybe.
Yeah,
if even that.
They teamed in WCW a little bit in the Nitro era too.
No, well, that's what I mean. It was like 96. Yeah, it was like 96. They were only there for a little bit of time, and I think they beat the Steiners for the titles or something like that. It was a very strange. You'll watch an old Nitro, and you're like, oh yeah, the Road Warriors are here. What the hell? And it doesn't. Yeah.
The aura was gone.
It was gone, and then they go to WWF again in 97, and it's just completely gone at that point. So
and Hawk went to Japan with Kensuke Sasaki, obviously as the Power Warriors, which pissed off Animal. Animal stayed behind for a little while in WWF.
Crush
on house shows.
Yes, of course, never on actual.
Yeah, because I would read those results in like Pro Wrestling Illustrated, and I'd be like, "Wow, that sounded like an awesome team." You know,
right.
When you're 14 or whatever, and it's like, but and I was getting PWI Weekly at that time, which was their answer to the newsletters. I don't even know if you know about that. Like, Pro Wrestling Illustrated rolled out something called PWI Weekly in the early 90s. And it was shaped like the Torch. Have you ever read the Torch?
Yeah.
Where it's like, the Observer is just like 6 sheets of paper, like stapled together, right? The Torch always has a little more effort put into it. It's like it's like almost like a book. You flip through the Torch, but the PWI Weekly was fashioned like a newsletter, and they advertised it in the magazines like they were trying to compete with the Observer and the Torch because they were losing, market share to the newsletters. And PWI Weekly was the same as Pro Wrestling Illustrated, except it was a little less kayfabe-y. You know what I mean? Like, they didn't go all the way like the newsletters
right,
did.
They kind of did tinges of it. I've seen like little clips here and there. I never actually had my hands on one though, unfortunately. So
yeah, and the best thing about it was up to date, because the magazine was always like 3 months behind. It was awful. Like, you'd get a magazine dated August and it had news from May, and you bought it in June. It was the weirdest shit.
right.
It was like it was all fucked up. Like, but the weekly one was up to date, and it was like you'd get results from like 2 days earlier when it came in the mail, and they'd have like the title change page, and it was a little less kayfabe-y. And I'd be reading these results and see like Animal teaming with Crush, and it's like, that sounds tremendous, but they tested it on house shows, and it obviously didn't work out.
Crush stinks, because Crush is fucking terrible. So, again, a guy who looks like $1 million but doesn't have that aura, doesn't have that charisma, doesn't work with the same intensity. Yeah, it's all about how you carry yourself. Even to the ring. Yeah. I mean, even before the bell rings, how you carry yourself. And the Road Warriors are maybe the all-time in just that the steps they took, the walk they did, the faces they made, the snarls, just everything. They just nailed it.
You bought the idea that they can walk into any bar in the country and
beat everybody out in that entire bar, walk out, slapping their hands together, grabbing a beer, and then, the entire rest of the bar is licking their wounds, and these two idiots came in, beat everybody up, and walked away.
Yeah, and I really think wrestling is missing that kind of element.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely.
I mean, it's without a doubt missing it in WWE. It's just a slick television product where everyone's a television star. We all know how they do things. And I think, honestly, wrestling's missing that element everywhere. You don't have those guys who you feel like they can walk in a bar and clean the place out. You just don't have that. And, I think that's something where I think that could really get over today if someone like Miro really tried to lean into something like that, but maybe he just doesn't have it in him. But yeah, that was the Road Warriors. They were bad motherfuckers. And the thing about it was they probably really could go in a bar and clean it out.
That was the other part, is they could do that. Yeah.
They really
didn't just look it. They would actually fucking do that too, for sure.
Yeah. So, Meltzer told a great story today. Did you listen to Meltzer's audio?
I did, yes. Yeah.
Fucking awesome. But he told a great story today, how they went to Japan, and I forget what wrestler he said, but one of the older wrestlers put Animal in some kind of shoot hold and tied him up, I guess just to, wave his dick around and say, because they didn't like to sell, and that's not going to get over, with the Japanese wrestlers, they're going to be annoyed. So they put him in some hold, and they went to the promoter, and they were like, either give us our passports back so we can go home right now, or if we finish this tour, we're going to legit fight everybody we get in the ring with and turn these things into shoots, or tell your boys to back off, because we didn't come here to grapple, And I just thought that was just such a great story that I had never heard before, So the last thing you want is these guys going in the ring and feeling like they legitimately have to defend themselves. So I forget which promoter it was too.
Yeah, I don't remember either. I know the story, but I'm blanking on who he referenced there. I think it was somebody in All Japan, but I forget who. Yeah,
was it Baba? It was Baba then.
It may have been Baba. Yeah, I don't know, but
and then telling his boys to back off after that. But yeah, just and they came through Minnesota when all those other guys. A lot of those guys went to high school together. Everybody Rick Rude, Brady Boone, Kurt Hennig, that whole crew, Hawk, and Animal was from. I don't think Animal went to high school with those guys, but he was from the same area. During that time, all of those guys, all the same age, all from Minnesota. John Nord was another one.
Yeah.
Who all ended up getting into pro wrestling all around the same time. And we're all stars together, through the late 80s and the early 90s. And a lot of them were bouncers at the same bar. And, these were legit bad motherfuckers.
Man, imagine trying to start trouble at that bar. You know what I mean? Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I mean, you hear the stories of Rick Rude knocking people out with open palm thrusts, and Kurt Hennig was a guy who, he challenged Brock Lesnar to a fight on an airplane, and then ended up getting fired for it. And, you got the Road Warriors who, were, legendary fighters. Although I think Road Warrior Hawk got his ass kicked.
Yes.
Who kicked his ass? Randy Savage kicked his ass?
I think that, I forget. I thought it was Randy. Yeah, I think that's the case. But
someone else kicked his ass too. And in Japan, someone kicked his ass, like another American, I think. I can't remember who it was. But these are guys that would, that whole crew. I mean, they were legit tough guys who would fight you. It was a different time. These locker rooms were different then. So it was just alpha males doing alpha male shit. And and so the Road Warrior
was it Too Cold Scorpio that beat his ass?
It might have been. Too Cold was a bad motherfucker.
Yeah, I think it was. I'm almost positive. I think it was in South Korea when they were doing the collision in Korea.
Oh, well, Hawk probably got in a bunch of fights and probably lost.
Well, he's probably also like very high when he got in those, so maybe it was a little bit easier to beat him up. But yeah, Too Cold can fuck you up too. So
for some reason, I remember Randy Savage.
No, that I'm 100% positive on Randy Savage. I don't know about Too Cold, but I thought I remember hearing that one.
Yeah,
I'll have to double check that one to make sure. But
no, he's another guy who's like a legendary tough guy. Too Cold. So yeah, I mean, so that probably helped with the gimmick too because they believed that they were tough. So they exuded that when they came out of the curtain. They legit felt like they were tough guys, and it came through with the gimmick. But Animal, since we're talking about him, I mean. One of the ultimate fucking worker moves, getting that Lloyd's of London policy.
Oh my God, to only work tag matches, yes.
Right, which there's effectively no difference between a tag match and
Animal saying, look, how about I am allowed to wrestle, but only tag matches? Lloyd's of London going, it sounds good to us. So here's $1 million every year. Just make sure you only work tag matches, okay? Sure, yeah. No problem.
Which I think why when he came back to WWE during the SmackDown era and teamed with Heidenreich and did all that shit, which is why he was always in tags, because I think he still had that deal even going that late into his career. It's just the ultimate hustle. Getting that insurance policy, all he had to do was make sure he worked tag matches and never worked.
It's tough for Road Warrior Animal. Hey, buddy, are you okay just working tag matches?
Well, yeah,
I guess. I suppose. Yes, I'll just do tag matches.
Yeah, I mean that's the other thing. Like that's all he does anyway. Right, but on top of that,
it'll be an adjustment. But I'll do it. It's fine. So.
And then he convinced them it was like less dangerous somehow. All while collecting that money. It's just.
I'm trying to look up how many TV, like actual televised singles matches, Animal ever had in his life. It looks like 18 total his entire career.
Yeah.
One in WWF against Paul Roma. Then none. A few in '96. One in '98 that went to a no contest because the bell couldn't ring. It was like some weird fake thing that they did or whatever. Yeah, so it's unbelievable.
Match,
it wasn't a real match. So, incredible.
Well, Hawk when they split, Hawk did plenty of singles.
Yes.
Hawk, he had that WCW run, the Kurosawa angle, and obviously he came to ECW in the early days, '93, '94. Era ECW, which were right smack dab in the Hawk era on Jovember. And obviously went to Japan and teamed with Kensuke Sasaki when they were kind of at odds with each other. And, Kensuke Sasaki was able to pull off that gimmick. I mean, that was, he had the right kind of aura for that as Power Warrior. So that worked out. But, and then Animal, hung around, like we said, that weird run on SmackDown with Heidenreich. And popped up a few more times over the years in WWE.
Yeah, he did. I think he did a match with Heath Slater at one point. There was like I was jumping around on YouTube, and there's like a random match against Paul Burchill where he's the Road Warrior, and he's got like he almost kind of looks like the old Road Warriors when they were like leather clad with their weird. I'm like, what the?
Yeah.
Who in 2006 was like, I don't know, Animal. We're gonna have to change it a little bit. I guess Vince McMahon. That's the answer. But like, yeah, it's just kind of weird that it's like the Road Warrior. It's like,
well, if you go back to '83, the original idea is that they were bikers.
Yes.
And that's obviously where the name came from. And they wore leather. They didn't have the shoulder pads yet, but they did have
a lot of leather. They had leather and weird hats and.
Yes.
Very not the same thing that the Road Warriors ended up being. There's definitely a different connotation of what that Road Warriors duo looked like.
Yeah, they were leather bikers. They were, biker bar guys, and they had the basically. Well, I mean, I don't think it's what you were thinking.
No, I know. Like in Rush, I know what it was supposed to be.
Yeah.
It's like when you look at it in 2020, you're like, wow, those guys look like they're into bondage. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like, yeah, that was cool in 1983, but now it looks ridiculous. So.
Yeah, and then they made the adjustments, obviously, and introduced the spiked shoulder pads, and they kind of dropped the biker imagery, about a year or so into the run. And by the end, by the time they had fully grown into the gimmick, it's like the name Road Warriors was the last vestige left of like the biker roots. That was because Animal was the Road Warrior as a singles wrestler, and that was his gimmick, and then they introduced Hawk into the team. Later on, and he had a completely different gimmick as a singles guy bouncing around some of the smaller territories, and then he took on the same gimmick that Animal had, and then it just evolved into what everybody remembers now.
Yeah, I think he had a match 2011 or 12, I want to say, against Heath Slater. That's actually pretty awesome too. He just goes in there and beats Heath Slater in like 3 minutes or whatever. That's when Heath was doing the thing where he was just losing to all like these former stars or whatever. And you see him in there, and you're like, damn, this guy can still go. He can still go, and he kept himself in pretty damn good shape through all those years. And obviously, you know him very well, of course, from his son as well, being a big star in the Rams, big star in college at Ohio State University and stuff. So definitely leaves a pretty awesome legacy. So
yeah,
that's it.
Son was a middle linebacker. He went to the Saints at the end of his career.
Yeah.
But, I know WWE was like hot on his trail for a while, but I don't think he's interested.
Yeah, at this point, it seems like he would have already jumped on it if he was going to. So,
I mean, he made a lot of money playing football because he wasn't like a superstar, but he was a star player who earned himself a second and third contract in the NFL, which means, he made millions of dollars.
Yeah,
so.
I'm sure he's doing okay. Yeah, and his body's already probably broken down enough where he's just like, your most of your former NFL good wrestlers were dudes that like flamed out in their first year, or flamed out after college, or flamed out in the CFL. Very rarely do you get like, near 10-year NFL career, then transition to dude's probably in a lot of pain on a daily basis and probably goes, you know what? I'm good. I'm just going to sit in my pool and hang out with my kids. And I don't really want to be on the road, doing wrestling or whatever, but
he doesn't need the money. He doesn't need the money. I mean,
right. Exactly.
Does he want to go to the performance center for 3 years and slum it up with,
right? Yeah.
25-year-olds for, $60,000 a year and be away from his family. And it's a different game now. If it was 20 years ago, the son of Road Warrior Animal could, do a crash course with fucking Hiro Matsuda in Florida or
right.
Or whoever in, Brad Rengis in fucking Minnesota.
Yeah, Masa Saito and Brad Rengis for 6 months, and then he'd be ready to go. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you get him in there and you introduce him as the son of Road Warrior Animal, and away you go. And it doesn't matter how good he is or anything else because he's just going to be a star as long as he has a shred of charisma. So it's just different now. It's just a completely different thing, and he already has money, and that talk really cooled off, I guess, once his NFL career, became a substantial real NFL career. It's like they kind of realized they were never going to get the guy.
So that's Road Warrior Animal. Again, if you're trying to watch, I really just kind of search stuff and find it and watch it. There's really nothing I can say definitively, hey, this is the match you have to watch, or this is what it is. Just, I don't know, just watch stuff. Just type in Road Warriors and see where it takes you. Yeah. The stuff you're going to watch on WWE Network.
Do we really need to nudge people to the road?
I would hope not, but we have some young listeners here that might not know as much, or might be interested in seeing some stuff. But yeah, hopefully at this point, if you're listening to the show, if you're enough of a wrestling fan, you're aware of their impact or whatever. But yeah, if you want to,
I don't know. I think I would be ashamed of anybody listening who
who didn't know anything,
hasn't seen Road Warriors.
There's probably a lot of people that only know the WWF Road Warriors. Honestly, I mean, I'm not mean, and I don't want to disparage any of them, but there's a lot there, and you might think that that's that, and you might think that they're an awesome team just based off that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas when you really dig in, I think you'll gain an even more appreciation. So yeah, go beyond what the WWE Network's going to give you, or what, at least, WWE proper is going to give you, and dive in a little bit to the other stuff. Watch the 605s, watch, any old WCW, NWA, AWA stuff.
They've got plenty of great stuff on the network though, too. I mean, you've got a lot of that, 80s, stuff. Those late '80s.
Oh yeah. Oh no. I just mean like you go to WWE.com and like they have like WWE.com remembers Road Warrior Animal, and the video is just like SummerSlam '91, SummerSlam '92. WrestleMania 14, and then it's over, and you're like, oh, all right. Like, that's
Drunk Hawk on the Titantron.
Yeah, right. You're like, that's not that interesting.
Would that make the sizzle reel?
That did not make the sizzle reel, believe it or not. Yeah, no.
With Droz trying to talk him off the ledge, right?
Shove him off, and 15 seconds later, he falls down.
Who's the worst, like, replacement Road Warrior, Droz or Heidenreich?
Yeah, Droz, Crush, or Heidenreich. What a...
Yeah. Oh, well, remember, too, when they were managed by Sonny?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
LOD 2000.
LOD 2000. They wore hockey masks because that's cool. They were cool. So, Hawk no longer had, he didn't have his double mohawk. He just had a shaved, a buzz cut. And Animal had, a full head of hair as well. And Sonny, she was wearing a thong or something. It's like, okay.
Sonny was Sonny. She had a bra with flames on it, I think.
right, tassels. She had a thong on with tassels, and they're like, LOD 2000, and it didn't work that well, so.
No, it's. I could see why they thought it might have been a good idea at the time, but
well, because again, I grew up with them being like these old assholes that nobody they were feuding with the New Age Outlaws at the time, and I as a 12-year-old or whatever, I thought the New Age Outlaws were the greatest. They came out with South Park T-shirts and talked about their dicks, and I was like, this is great. This is exactly what I want. And here comes these weirdos, these old men in face paint and spikes, and I'm like, who are these assholes? And everybody was chanting OLD at them and stuff, and they had to go away and come back with hockey masks and a babe, and well, it didn't really work.
So you're telling me you weren't hearkening back to their wars with the Russians?
Believe it or not, yeah. When I was 11, no, I
wasn't the case.
I liked that Road Dogg wore Cartman shirts and talked about his dick a lot. So that
Crusher Khrushchev's another one from Minnesota, I think, right?
Yes. Oh yeah, of course. Yeah.
He's another one, but they had the famous feud with the Russians in, I guess, '86, right? Probably '86, with the Koloffs and the Russians. The short-lived 6-man titles where the Road Warriors teamed with was it Dusty Rhodes or Tenryu? I know both of them were in the mix. Maybe both at different times, right? Pull that up real quick. See if you could find that. Those 6-man tag team titles.
So the NWA 6-man tag titles, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Where they teamed with, I'm getting Dusty Rhodes and Tenryu mixed up in my head for some reason.
They did Dusty, they did both. They did Dusty and Tenryu.
That's what I thought. Yeah. So, and it was short-lived. Take me through the title history there.
All right.
And
so
I'll see what I can remember.
Okay. They brought it back in '84. So your first winners were Koloff, the Koloffs, and Don Kernoodle were your first.
Right. Don Kernoodle, who was he turned on America.
Yes. Yeah. He became
Russian sympathizer.
Yes. And then
that'd probably be a babyface act to a lot of people on Twitter, right? Like all the commies on Twitter would probably love that. Like he'd be a babyface to them.
Yeah. So then they kicked Kernoodle to the corner when they brought in Crusher Khrushchev. So I think he just slid in there and took over the titles.
Yes.
Then Manny Fernandez, Buzz Tyler, and Sam Houston won it from them.
Don't have any recollection.
Yeah. Don't worry, it didn't last long because the Russians won it back again.
Right.
And then Khrushchev got hurt, and then they sent in Baron von Raschke to come in and be the Russians. Although,
yeah.
I don't know, Baron von Raschke is quite anyway.
Yeah.
I think there was a difference.
Well, he was a little different.
I was going to say, well, whatever. And then, then
slightly
they...
different gimmick than a communist.
Yeah.
Slightly different gimmick than a communist.
Then May 1986, Dusty and the Road Warriors win it in Baltimore. Then Ivan Koloff and the Powers of Pain beat them in 1988.
Yeah.
Then Powers of Pain obviously go to WWF, so they move it back to Dusty Rhodes and the Road Warriors, and then the Road Warriors turn on Dusty, and then they team with Tenryu at Clash of the Champions 4, which is awesome. I love that match. It's really fun.
Yeah, it is. They turn on Dusty. That's right. Didn't they use attack him with a barbell or something?
Yeah, it's either that, and then was that when they hit him with the spike?
Was that the spike? It's the spike.
But I think it's the spike in the eye.
Why am I thinking of some attack in a weight room? Did it happen in a weight room?
That's Tommaso Ciampa, and
or is that a different turn? I'm thinking. Stop it! I got to give you a Gorilla Monsoon. Will you stop? I'm thinking of some attack in that era that happened in a weight room with a barbell. But you're right. Maybe
it was that one. I forget exactly which one it was. Maybe you're right. Maybe it was that one. So
yeah,
there was a spike, and then there was the barbell. Yeah, it was one of the two. So
Yeah, that's it. They crushed. Yeah, it was. All right, so the chat room has it. They attacked Dusty in the weight room with the bench press bar, right?
A barbell is what normal humans would call it. Yeah.
Yeah, barbell's the long one. And the dumbbell's the small one, right?
Yes, correct. Yes.
Yeah. So
I thought you're a man that keeps himself in top peak physical form, but
I haven't been in a gym since 2011. Give me a break. I stay in shape in other ways.
yes, long one is barbell, dumbbell is short one. Yes.
Yeah. So now you sell this equipment. That's not fair.
No, it's really not. Yeah.
Why don't you come in the kitchen with me and we'll start naming fucking kitchen equipment? Right. Okay, why don't we do that? Smart guy. Yeah. So maybe it was okay, so now we're getting information.
Oh jeez. Here we go. Yes, the people.
It's all done to Dusty. It was all done to Dusty. The barbell and the spike was all Dusty, apparently. So yeah, the spike in the eye, I remember that one. But I remember that attack in the weight room, too, for some reason. But yeah, Tenryu, and then Tenryu just, like, disappears, right?
Yeah, right.
Or
right.
I
was like, I'm going back to Japan. This sucks, yeah.
That's the end of that, yeah. Tenryu was like, I'm going back to Japan, and I'm coming back 6 years later to murder The Undertaker in a casket at the Royal Rumble. And
no, he came back in 91. Remember? He came back in 91 as they had the...
versus Demolition.
Yeah, and they had the really bad like promo where it's like, these men are Japanese, so they're children. They don't understand basic communication. So
yeah, was it Bob Uecker?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, and he was just saying Japanese words
Toyota,
like
Hyundai.
Man, Rich, the wokes have no idea what wrestling was like. Not that long ago. Yeah. Not that long ago. Yeah, that was Tenryu and Kateo, Koji Kateo.
Yeah.
Against, and that was, I think, wasn't that the last televised appearance of Demolition? That was it.
I believe that's the case. Yeah.
That was their write-off. And Kateo, of course, was the mentor, I believe, of Masaki Mochizuki. Because Mochizuki, I believe, trained under Koji Kateo. I hope this is right, otherwise I'm going to sound real stupid. But Koji Kateo had a reputation for, like, not doing business.
Oh no, that is no, yeah. There's no one will argue that with you. No, he definitely.
And Mochizuki kind of had that rep early on because I think he trained under Koji Kateo. But I'm definitely going to look that up so we can cut it off of the on-demand show if I'm wrong, and then no one will ever know except for the 60 people listening live.
Exactly.
Right now.
Yes. So, thank you guys for doing it. $10 subscribers, patreon.com/voiceswrestling. I believe you're correct, but yeah, you might want to just double check.
Yeah,
I can confirm he was an asshole though that nobody liked. So that I can confirm.
Dale? Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He wasn't very good either.
No. He had a big rep, or big rep for himself without really backing it up at any point ever. So
Rich, I'm a confident man. I'm not going to bother looking it up. I am confident.
I think I'm almost positive you're right. Yeah, I know for a fact they held when I was doing research for the one of the deep dives that they held like the the WAR 6-man titles at one point. I forget who they were with, but it was definitely Mochizuki. Because I was looking at like random titles that Mochizuki had won and maybe still owns. And he definitely won the WAR titles with Kateo. I forget who they were with. So
I think he was like the ace student of Koji Kateo, Mochizuki. He's still going, 50 years
which
old.
Is nuts. Yeah, which is great. Which will actually lead into a topic we have in a bit. But that is it about the Road Warriors and whatever the hell else we've talked about, which I enjoy these shows where we just talk about stuff. Just we can honestly go another 2 hours just naming names. Let's remember some guys and talk about
more corrections from the chat room. Okay. So it was Regis Philbin who did the racist interview.
Yes, that's right.
It wasn't Bob. I apologize to Bob Uecker. I'm a big fan of Bob Uecker. Still calling Brewers games, by the way. He's like 96 years old. He's still calling Brewers games, and still sharp as a tack, Rich. And the barbell attack was Powers of Pain attacking Animal.
Oh, see, look at this.
So you were right.
I was going to say, I don't think Dusty's putting up 500 on the bench press or knows where a bench press is. I think you and him both had the same gym habits. So
yes. So
I mean, you're in better shape because of all the sex, obviously, but
that's what it is. I mean, absolutely.
Right.
I run the stairs in my house too, and that's how. See, I don't spend money on gym equipment, but everybody else should with Rich's company.
Absolutely, yeah.
But yeah, I just run the stairs. But
we don't have anything, so don't buy anything from us right now. It's all gone.
My cardio is phenomenal. I don't need like a step master or any of these gimmicks. I just run the stairs in the house, up and down. Well, now the dog follows me up and down the stairs. She trails me, until she gets tired, and then she lays on the couch and just stares at me. But look, I'm trying to remember angles from like
All right.
34 years ago.
You're lucky you remember anything from last week. We're going to talk about the G1 that I watched a day ago, and I'm probably going to forget shit.
Yeah, and I got to take out the notes to remember what the matches were. These are angles from 34 years ago when I was like 8. So, what do you want from me? But
yeah, the spike, because I remember TBS was like, hey, no more blood dust. And he's like, I hear you, baby. No more blood. And the first thing he does is wears a white shirt and gets a spike in the eyeball. He's bleeding everywhere. So, and Cody's his father's son, because Cody's about to do a dog collar match. And goddamn well that dude cannot wait to get busted open in the middle of that ring.
Dude,
so.
I am so excited about the dog collar match. Just let Cody book everything.
Yeah, I know. He's the best.
Just let him book everything. I mean, the fucking dog, this whole setup for the dog collar match, the whole thing. It's just great shit. And it's going to rule. They're going to bleed buckets. It's going to be phenomenal. I can't wait for the dog collar match. We need more dog collar matches, and we need more badasses who just, kick everybody's ass in 2.5 minutes.
Right, yeah. More guys that look like they could walk into a bar and clear it out in a minute and a half. So, yeah. More of those guys.
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right.
Less Twitch streamers and more guys.
Right. Less game overs and more fucking dudes kicking each other's asses in bars. So, all right. We got to talk about some other G1 stuff, some other promotions going on, tournaments going on around the world. Before we do that, though, I do have a question for you, Joe. What season is it?
It is winning season.
It is. Well, it's fall. It actually recently turned fall. But you're right. It is winning season as well. And winning season means doubling your first deposit. Winning season means free bets, super contests, Survivor, and more. At MyBookie, winning season is all about your chance to win big. And Joe, I don't want to out you here, but Big JL did some big winning last week, didn't he?
I did.
You don't have to name numbers. I got the numbers. I got them here. You're lucky he even came back and did any of these fucking podcasts he was doing this last week. I'll tell you that.
Oh yeah. I mean,
you were very close to telling me to go fuck myself.
Oh yeah, if that one game came in at the end there,
right.
I'd be in Hawaii right now. I mean, not on vacation, living in Hawaii right now. So, yeah, I've been doing very well, Rich, and I've been doing it at mybookie.ag.
There you go. So you can bet the NBA playoffs, NHL playoffs. You're in the Stanley Cup right now. NBA playoffs. You're in the conference finals. Major League Baseball is getting hot and heavy. You're getting the playoffs coming up. UFC, and of course the NFL. The craziest sports fall of our lifetime is here, and it's simple. At MyBookie, you make your picks, you win big, you collect your cash, you invest in your intuition, like Joe did last week. So you select from hundreds of future bets or bet games in real time with MyBookie's live betting. You put that big brain of yours to use. You use promo code VOW and you double your first deposit. That's the key there. Promo code VOW. You get 100% deposit match. Double your first deposit up to $1,000. So you put in $100, they'll give you $100. You put in $1,000, they'll give you $1,000. You put in $1, they're going to give you $1 too. It's always that. They'll double your first deposit. 100% deposit match. You can't beat it, and new players get up to $1,000 in free play, designed to add more excitement to the sports you love and the games you bet. Thousands of cross-sport wagers, props, parlays awaits. Joe can tell you all about those parlays. You sign up now to bet with the best, and you celebrate your victory. Winning season begins today only at MyBookie. And again, promo code VOW to double your first deposit at MyBookie.
They start new NFL Survivor pools every week. And it's free. You just jump in and pick $50,000 to the winner. Doesn't cost you a dime to enter. And they start new ones every week. Rich, it's a free roll.
I'm getting excited. Yeah, I'm gonna dabble in some NBA finals once the finals kind of break down. I think I have a read now on quarantine basketball. So I'm gonna start dabbling in that, and I think baseball playoffs. I'm gonna start doing a little bit of that as well. So
there you go, Rich.
Well, because then you got the actual playoff matchups. You know who's pitching. You kind of know what the teams are. You know what I mean? Like I'm a little hesitant to do regular season baseball, but once it's the playoffs, like we're getting down to it. You know who's pitching. You know the rotations. You know the bullpen. You get a little bit better of an idea. So.
Yeah, the important thing, you're getting the top bullpen arms.
Right, exactly. I'm not getting schlubs like the White Sox the other day trying out other arms. I'm like, nah, get out of here. Tell Matt Foster to hit the fucking bricks. Let's go. It's big boy time now. Like,
Rich getting annoyed because the Twins overtook him last night.
He's getting
a little feisty. Rich is getting a little feisty. Listen, you're in. Doesn't really make that much of a difference who wins the division at this point. I mean, I think both of you need to watch out for Cleveland.
I know.
Red fucking hot. Oh, every time I turn around, Jose Ramirez is 3 for 4 with 2 home runs.
Yeah.
So that's who you guys need to worry about. But look, you're in. I'm the one sweating it out on a nightly basis.
Oh, come on, you're fine.
we're We're a game up in the 8th spot. What are you talking about? I'm sitting here. I was watching the Giants game as we're talking about the Road Warriors. Sitting here hoping they did lose, by the way. So that's good for the Reds. And now I've got like 3 other games on the screen. Reds are off tonight, which is painful because you're at the mercy of everybody else playing when you don't have control of your own destiny in a given night. We got to play the Twins the last 3. And because you guys fell apart, the Twins are still playing hard. I was hoping that we'd roll into Minnesota and the Twins are like locked into like the 5 seed. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they don't really care anymore. So they're kind of just trying out some arms, resting some guys. Yeah, no, sorry.
They're setting their rotation for next week, so we're facing jabronis 1 through 3. They're sitting here playing for a division title.
Yeah.
But that's partly our fault because we took 2 out of 3 from you last weekend.
Yeah, so thanks a lot.
So the Reds, set their own destiny here. But Rich is going to get in the mix here with a little playoff betting.
Yeah,
I like to see that.
Yeah. There to go.
Look,
All right.
I know you're a cheapskate. You could just do like $5 parlay.
Yeah, no. We'll put a little more.
Oh, spicy.
Yeah,
next Thursday, there's 8 Major League Baseball playoff games in one.
Oh, my God.
So
incredible.
You just throw a $5 on an 18 parlay, okay? And that fucker hits, you're talking about a couple $100 easy, especially if you throw a couple underdogs in the mix, which why wouldn't you with all those aces going? Why wouldn't you throw a couple underdogs in the mix? So, mybookie.ag.
Yeah, put $5 in, they'll give me $5. I got 10. Now I got $10 to work with. So look at that.
Right.
Not bad. All right, let's talk about G1 here. As I mentioned, you're doing daily G1 updates at patreon.com/voices of wrestling, $5 tier to do that. Reviews after every single one of the shows. You have not done night 4 yet. I also have not seen night 4, so some of our B block takes won't be as refined, but we have full A block takes. We got all the A block takes because you and I have watched every single night of the A block so far. So I just want to do what we did last year, where we we'll mention a name, we'll talk a little bit about what they've done in the tournament. I'll give you their points, and we can go. Some might be a sentence, some will go a little bit longer, but I think it's a good way to do it as opposed to going through show by show and talking about the results and talking about the matches. That kind of bores me, but this I like, kind of the narrative of each wrestler so far in the tournament. So we'll start with the A block. And we have a 3-way tie at the top with 4 points with Taichi, Will Ospreay, and Jay White. We'll start out with Taichi. What have you thought of his tournament so far? Because I have been very surprised by his output and very encouraged by his output so far.
Well, he got the big win over Suzuki, which I think was a big storytelling kind of device there. So I think that's the big thing. And he stared at the Iron Glove after the match and all that because he basically beat Suzuki clean after the early brawling in the match. So I think that's kind of his theme. Are we seeing the slow transition to Taichi-gun? That's kind of my takeaway.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I've really noticed and liked about Taichi so far this tournament, and really gave me that first night, we learned a lot that first night. We learned what the Okada story was going to be. And what I learned from Taichi was that he was going to be mostly bullshit free, because we talked about that the week prior. Is like we were worried that they need somebody to muck it up in the A block, somebody to be kind of and we haven't seen that from Taichi so far. He's been pretty. I mean, yeah, the Suzuki match was a little plundery or whatever, but he hasn't been full on bullshit. And really the G1 itself, and we'll talk about it a little bit. Like outside of Toru Yano, there really hasn't been a lot of it, which has been really encouraging. Is that it has been a lot of straight up matches. But Taichi just being a dude and just going out there and winning, and yeah, he takes a little bit of shortcuts when he can or whatever, and that's fine. I have no issue with that. But I've been really encouraged by his output, and I'm definitely ready if he kind of assumes power over Minoru Suzuki. I think it's time for a change in that stable and in that unit. So I welcome that idea if he kind of slowly but surely assumes power over the next year.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about Will. Will has 4 points as well, tied for the lead in the A block. He, I think, has had a fucking tremendous tournament. My MVP so far. No doubt about it. I mean, he's great. I don't know what else do you say about Will Ospreay. I know. Yeah,
I mean, I want to hold off until I see the second night of the B block before I start throwing MVP candidates out.
It's also 2 matches in. It's utterly ridiculous for me to name an MVP at this point, but
yeah, Rich, really jumping the gun.
No, I actually, it's kind of a tongue in cheek too, because I see people being like, "Oh, this guy's a clear MVP so far." I'm like, there's 2 matches. Like,
oh yeah,
we have 3 more weeks to go. Like, let's maybe chill.
Fans are fans. Fans are fans.
I like it. Like, it's like the first week of the MLB season. Well, this guy's hitting 600, so I think
Yeah, it's fans are going to be fans.
Steve Pierce is clearly on the front of
Yeah, but I think I would lump Will and Jay White together I talked about this maybe on our Discord. I guess plug the Discord earlier today. I don't remember whether it was the Discord or some chat or something, but I think Will Ospreay and Jay White are the two most interesting people in this tournament so far. Okay, you've got Will Ospreay sort of with this slow burn heel turn. I don't even know how slow burn it is. I mean, he's just being – did you see his post-match comments after he beat Ishii and how he talked about Shingo? Did you see that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, talking about how, I'm going to, in Kobe where Shingo wrestled for Dragongate, I'm going to beat him again just like I beat him in the Super Juniors, and I'm going to embarrass him. And, this after cutting the promo after the Yujiro match where he said he was the best wrestler in the world, which really got under the skin of a lot of people for various reasons. So he's kind of doing this heelish thing, which I think is going to play into that final match against Okada, which is interesting because by then you figure Okada will have figured it out and will probably need that match to advance. And he's in there against, Will Ospreay, who is sort of his protege. But, Will's kind of doing this heel thing and, he's going to be out to spoil it for Okada. I thought that was the most interesting potential matchup in the tournament before it even started. And now it's even more interesting than I thought it was with this new, dynamic that's going on with the stories that both Okada and Ospreay are telling. It's going to be a real interesting match from that perspective, And then Jay White, I think, has been phenomenal in both matches that I saw.
Yeah, he's been really, really good. And I the thing that got me about the first night with him, and again, like a lot, we learned so much on that first night. Dude didn't miss a beat. He was like perfect. He was already back and ready to go, fit into his role, and it's just like, oh my God, like the people trying to twist themselves into knots about, oh, evil's good and evil's great at this. And it's like, dude, here comes a guy who's the leader of the Bullet Club that can do this heel work, keep you interested. I just thought, yeah, he was phenomenal in that first night. And then the match of the Bushi on night 2, that might end up being in my top 5 of the entire tournament. I love that match. Oh my God, the story of that match, the selling, the offense, the shit talk of Jay White. It's like, yes, this is how you do heel work. This is what you do. It's just, he's been great.
Yeah, the way he worked over Ibushi's leg and the shit talk. And the finish, even with the Gato stuff, didn't bother me because it wasn't egregious and it wasn't overdone. And he's really come into form. And yeah, that show, which was really a nothing show up until the Will Ishii match, which, I think so far is the match of the tournament, but I've only seen 3 shows. I haven't seen the 4th show yet. I thought the Will Ishii match in a real building where fans are allowed to cheer may have been a 5-star match. Because a lot of the stuff they did would have gotten just ridiculously monster reactions in front of a real crowd. As it was, I still think it was a 4.5-star match at minimum because the work was just so spectacular from both guys. But that show, starting with that Will Ospreay Ishii match and then that main event with Jay White and Ibushi, just closed on such a high note. And, I was buzzing after that show. That was just a phenomenal show. What did you think of Ospreay Ishii?
I didn't love it as much as you did. I like it a lot. It's one of those weird matches that, like, I think I went 4 with at, and it didn't. I don't know if it hit me on that big level. I don't know why. Like, I should have enjoyed it as much. It's Will and it's Ishii, and those are 2 guys that I absolutely love. And I think it was, that was a match I absolutely believe that had that been in front of a crowd, I would have liked it like a lot more. Like, you're saying that it would have been 5 stars, like match of the year level with a crowd. I think I would have went from like, yeah, that was a damn good match, to like, wow, what a tremendous match with a crowd. So I think I'm kind of in the same wavelength as you, but I just didn't like it nearly as much as you did at its floor. But hey, it was still a tremendous effort by both guys, and there was enough spectacular stuff to happen in it that really did hook me. It just, yeah, it wasn't on that like match of the year type of level for me whatsoever.
Well, when Will went for that Os cutter off the top turnbuckle and Ishii caught him, my God, what a fucking spot. And then the headbutt, the Ishii headbutt, and the way Will's head, shot back and his hair went flying and the sweat, and just the way he sold it. And really what put the match over the top for me was the opening third where Will is being cocky. And he's offering the disingenuous handshake and with the dumb smile on his face. And he's talking shit to Ishii, right? And he's really just treating him like he's beneath him. And then Ishii has enough and he just decks him in the corner.
Yeah.
You remember that spot?
Yeah.
And then Ospreay's in the corner like, oh shit, I just picked a fight that maybe I didn't want to pick, right? And then from there, they just went into the closing stretch, which was just phenomenal and perfectly worked and all that. So for me, that was a match that didn't have any wasted time, any wasted spots. Everything mattered. And even from the mannerisms and Will's cockiness early to how he really had to empty the tank to beat the guy. I mean, when he busted out that Stormbreaker into the pile driver, oh my God, I popped off my couch.
Yeah, what a move. Yeah, that was a tremendous move.
Like, holy shit, what a fucking move that is to add to his arsenal of, already incredible offense. And then, so I just thought that match was great. And then, it got capped off that night with another great match where Jay White, I thought, so far, and I haven't seen night 3, that was the best singular match performance to me against Ibushi. He was just so good in every way. He's just a great heel. He's top tier. What's the comparison? Who'd you just compare him to? That didn't you just compare him to someone who he blows away?
Oh, I just said evil. Like when you look at what we had to endure with the evil, and it's just like, oh my God, people twisting themselves into knots. No, this is good heel work. No, he's good heel, and it's like, no, come on.
No, I mean, and Jay White has a huge head start on him and all that. He's been doing this for 3 years.
He's also
now,
good, and evil's not. So that.
I was being diplomatic, but right. I don't want to do the evil thing again because I can get started too.
I know, but
I think that evil. What was encouraging about the B block. Are we done with the A block here, or do you want to keep going? Let's go down the whole A block.
Yeah, let's go down the A block. Yeah, put a pin in your evil take.
Yeah.
We'll go quick over some of these other names. I think there's not a ton. Again, we're 2 nights in, so it's hard to really get these overarching thoughts other than guys like Will and Jay. But Kota Ibushi at 2 points. I mean, the match against Okada was unfortunately kind of a throwaway. More of a story, but obviously the match with Jay White was tremendous, and I think he's going to be in the mix at least until the final day. I mean, there's no doubt that he's going to be in that mix.
Jay White?
Kota Ibushi.
Oh, Ibushi.
Yeah,
White could win the block.
Oh, White. Well, yeah, I think he's my favorite to win the block for sure, and Ibushi's going to be in the mix at least until the final days too, and he'll reach higher highs and he'll reach pretty highs throughout. But I mean, he's off to a pretty good start there with just that Jay White match alone. So
yeah,
Minoru Suzuki. I don't know if I really have any take on Suzuki so far. Fine.
No, I mean just
yeah.
he's been Minoru Suzuki.
Yeah.
It's
The baseline's fine. Just keep doing what you're doing. That's fine.
I mean, the Ishii match. I love the Ishii match. It's probably no. Again, this is pointless because I've only seen 3 shows, and by the time people listen to this, at least one more show, maybe 2, will have happened. But I mean, just looking through my notes, the Ishii Suzuki match, I would probably put that as my number 3 or 4 match of the tournament. I'd have Ishii, Ospreay, and then Tanahashi, Naito would easily, I think, be my number 2. And then I'd probably go with Ishii and Suzuki as my number 3. And then maybe White and Ibushi and Shingo. And nobody cares. Who's next on the list?
All right, next up.
I catch myself sometimes like, Joe, not a single person right now.
Okada is, of course, we talked about him at the top, so I don't think we need to really,
we talked about him a little.
Relitigate that a little bit, but
a lot of that was kind of, me leaning in and doing shtick. But look, it should be obvious to everyone now that a lot of the stuff he's doing is intentional. The question is, is this a way to help him rest up? Okay, let's tell this little story where you're trying to find your footing with a new wrestling style, and that kind of gives you an out to wrestle kind of an easier style while you're doing it. Like, that's entirely possible. But you watch him wrestle, and it's like he's eliminated a lot of the trademark spots that pop the crowd for easy pops. He's not bumping as much, although in the Yujiro match he bumped a ton, which, kind of shits on the idea that his back is shot. I think the taped up back is totally gimmick.
I can't believe people buy the taped up back.
People
in
like
2020. I know he's like, oh, his back's shot because he put a roll of athletic tape around his back. Joe, if your back hurts, I dare you to put a roll of athletic tape around your back and say, perfect. No longer does my back hurt anymore.
Are people ever going to learn from Tanahashi year after year after year after year after year? I mean,
loosely applied athletic tape. He tore his tricep.
He's got his back taped up, and then Yujiro works over his back, and it's like,
no, every year we had to tell people. Oh my god! And then the best part, remember the one year Tanahashi shared a picture, like the most zoomed in picture of like a torn bicep, And he's like, this is my bicep. And everyone's like, well, that's it. Like,
Yeah.
it must be. It's like, guys, we had to literally start a show and say, guys, wrestlers sometimes, I know not all the time, but sometimes, Joe, wrestlers will get this, pretend that they're hurt when they're not actually hurt.
Are you telling me Go Shiozaki's right arm really isn't on the verge of falling off? Is this what you're telling me?
I can't confirm or deny that, but I think he might be playing it up a little bit more, and it might actually not be okay. But yeah, it's unbelievable that people still he put loosely applied athletic tape. Well, his back shot, he's done. So
kind of the beauty of the Okada thing, though, is that he's working this so well that he has convinced people that he stinks, and you're supposed to think that he stinks. That's the idea. Like, the whole point of this work is that you're supposed to think that he stinks now. And it's like, that's how, you could argue that he's doing this well because he has successfully fooled people who don't want to be worked because, Rich, wrestling fans do not want to be worked anymore. We've talked about that a million times. He successfully worked people into thinking that he stinks now with this thing that he's doing. And look, I don't love it. I'd rather see him out there having good matches, but I am curious where it goes. Does he just kind of like, here's where I'm interested where it goes. Okay. And this is something we didn't talk about at the top. So I think it's fresh. When he finally snaps out of it, is it because he reverts back to his old ways, or is it because he figures out this way? That's intriguing to me.
Yeah, for sure. That's honestly why I thought he should have lost the Yujiro match, because that would be a nice point for him to just go like, oh God, what am I doing? Like, I need to completely transform myself, versus just like, yeah, I had a really shitty match with Yujiro, but I still won, so whatever. That I don't like that story as much as the, oh my God, I fucked up. Oh, I can't believe I lost to Yujiro. Because to me, well, and I guess it depends on what, like you said, what the story is going to be. If maybe he goes, hey, I figured out with this Yujiro, and I'm going to lean harder into the Cobra Clutch, and I'm going to lean harder into this thing. Because my ideal story is that he loses Yujiro and just goes, all right, this Cobra Clutch thing fucking sucks. It's not going to work. I'll just hit the goddamn Rainmaker again and be the Okada of old. I get it. Like, but he's, I'm sure, in a weird way, and we talked about it a little bit at the beginning, but he's like a 28 or 29-year-old, 30-year-old, whatever the hell he is right now, who's done it all. So he has to like invent stories for himself to keep himself interested. And one of the stories is, what if I suck for a little bit? What if I suck for a while? And I guess I enjoy that, but it's like, yeah, you're right. I don't know what that next story is. And maybe he is bored of being the old Okada. So maybe the new thing is that he, like you said, he leans into this and becomes better at this style. I don't know. That's
where I'm curious where it ends up. And a lot of people are like, oh, we already saw this with Balloon Okada. I disagree. I don't think it's the same. My read on Balloon Okada was he was depressed. Like, it was this weird depression phase he was going through. This is a guy who's trying to reinvent himself, who is slumping badly because this reinvention isn't going well. And it's starting to sink in with him after the loss to Yano and, losing in New Japan Cup and losing to Ibushi because he made a dumb mistake, and Ibushi even saying, who is this guy? I don't want to wrestle this guy. I want to wrestle the guy who will challenge me the way he did on the 4th. And then struggling with Yujiro and acknowledging that he's got to get better if he wants to win this thing. This is like a real sports story in a way, of a team that, struggled in a first round playoff game and knows that as the competition gets harder and you're not facing a Yujiro anymore and you're facing, night after night of these superstars in this block, that your performance against Yujiro isn't going to cut it. You've got to, you got to be able to hit that drop kick on the first attempt. You have to be able to smoothly counter into that tombstone instead of struggling mightily to get the guy into the tombstone position every time. You've got to figure out whether this money clip is the right move or not, after Yujiro easily escaped it twice before he finally put it on in the center of the ring. All of those things. I suppose it's an interesting story, but I would prefer to just see good matches. And because the downside of this story is the end result is underwhelming matches. That's sort of what comes out of telling a story like this is you're not having the matches that we're accustomed to.
Right.
But from a pro wrestler standpoint, it's like that, when they're telling story, they're not worried about how many stars Dave Meltzer are giving their matches. They're just out there trying to tell the story that either they're trying to tell or their booker wants them to tell, or whatever the case may be. And that's kind of what's happening right now. And the non-smarks who are watching this, probably have a slightly different take than people like us who are nerds and just want to fill up our notebooks. But, definitely the matches are not definitely not aesthetically. Now, look, the Ibushi match wasn't awful. It was just underwhelming. I wouldn't call it a bad match. And the Yujiro match was just a match. I mean, that was just, a dopey little 2.5-star match.
All right, we'll go through these other guys pretty quick, and then we'll move to the B block here. Jeff Cobb, I think a little bit more encouraging than the last year. I think the match with Taichi was really good. Definitely shocked me. I still need a little bit more, but I think he's acclimated himself well, and if he's just like middle of the pack in the A block, that's fine. I just didn't want him to be one of the worst guys in the A block, and so far he hasn't been that.
Yeah,
so.
He hasn't, but the thing with Cobb is I think you get one gear with him.
Right.
And, you've seen his now it was a different kind of match with Taichi, but you get the same gear every time. And I really think it was the least interesting match that Shingo has had in a long time.
That was, I don't know what the hell happened there. I've seen some people that really like that match. I thought it stunk.
I mean, I won't go as far as
stunk in relative terms, I should say. It's still fucking Shingo. But like you say, dragging Shingo to something that I just kind of bored with and want to be done is not great.
So Little Gentleman's 3?
Yeah, that's not Shingo territory.
I mean, Shingo's been going out there having bangers with everybody he gets in the ring with for the last 2 years.
Yeah, right.
So it's like, this is just, so with Jeff Cobb, I don't think Jeff Cobb has been bad. I think he's been pretty good, but there's only one gear with this guy. He's not a guy who's going to get in there with, whoever the fuck, and he's just going to wrestle at his level always. That's just what he is.
Tomohiro Ishii, 0 points. I think that's a little surprising for some people, but shouldn't be surprising for most because he never gets a ton of points in the G1 yet. Every year in the pick'em, 12 points, 14 points, runner up in the B block, runner up in the A block, and it's like, nah. But
he could score anywhere from 6 to 10.
Yeah,
I mean, it's he could go 3 and 6, I guess it would be, or 5 and 4. But he's never gonna really exceed that.
And then we'll move on to the last two guys here. Shingo, are you surprised at 0 points for Shingo?
I talked about Shingo behind the paywall. I'm just disappointed in how they book him. I mean, I know there's a lot of tournament in front of us, and I think he's going to beat Will Ospreay based on Will Ospreay's promo and the fact that he can get the win back. You know what I mean? And the fact that he's 0-2 and Will is 2-0. I think that screams a Shingo win. So I think he's going to beat Will Ospreay. But, losing to Cobb, that one kind of bothered me.
Yeah,
and I know
like
people were getting on me for that, and they were like, well, Cobb's going to be a never guy. But it's like, I don't know. I feel like I've accepted that they're never going to push Shingo at the superstar level and I think it's such a waste because I think he can be a money-drawing superstar for them.
Right, and it does seem weird that, maybe they're waiting a little too long with it, where it's like, you don't really have to break this guy down and build him back up again. He's fucking Shingo. You know what I mean? He's there.
My thing. Why move him up to heavyweight if you're just going to make him
exactly
a guy?
Right? He should still be dominating the juniors then if he's just going to be a dude on the roster. I 100% agree with you. I'm shocked these guys 0 points. Like you said, we might sound like complete idiots in a few weeks, but I'm sort of with your standpoint too, where it's like maybe they just don't see this guy as like that dude. And I saw those reactions. People saying, well, Cobb's going to be a never guy. Well, fuck Jeff Cobb. Fucking make Shingo a never guy.
Yeah,
right?
Who's got the potential here?
Yeah, who's the future superstar? Who can main event a Wrestle Kingdom? It's not fucking Jeff Cobb. To
me, Jeff Cobb is just the guy on the roster.
Yes, exactly. Right.
It's Shingo's a guy you can draw money with. And again, we may end up looking foolish, but it's like, why move a guy up and have him put him in the G1 last year and move him up and have him.
And last year I had no issues with. That was his first foray into heavyweight. Okay, whatever. That's fine. But this year should be what Will Ospreay's doing right now, where he is going to be in the mix. Will is going to be in the mix. Where Shingo, it's hard to really see the scenario where he's still in the mix. Again, we might be wrong, and in 2 weeks' time we'll look like idiots, but I don't know.
No, and they book him to look like a monster and dominate the juniors. And then the only junior he loses to is the other guy that moves up, who's probably going to be an IWGP champ at some point. So you're established that he's way better than the juniors, right? And you move him up, you give him this never run, and now, it looks like he's going nowhere in this G1. I don't understand that. Like, why are you pumping the brakes then? It's just frustrating that it appears that they're pumping the brakes. And, like you said, we might turn around and he's like, 6-3 at the end of the thing. But I don't know. I'm not encouraged by his start.
And then Yujiro is Yujiro, so I don't.
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't even think he's been terrible.
He hasn't been offensive. Yeah, that's all you want was Yujiro offensive in the G1 so far? No. All right, cool. Good.
No, I mean, I thought Will Ospreay got as good a match you were going to get out of him, and I thought the finish was phenomenal. And then I thought they told the story that they intended to tell in the Okada match, even if it was just a match. And he hasn't dropped anybody on their head or, done
right.
It's pretty crazy that we have to look at it this way.
The baseline is, has Yujiro hurt anybody? No. All right, cool.
Yeah, has he dropped anyone? No. Like he sometimes he picks guys, he like drops them. Like it's just a thing that he does. But yeah, he's been fine. I mean, it's just he's gonna work the first match every night, and it's gonna be a 7 or 8 minute match for a guy, effectively their night off, and you just hope it has a fun closing stretch.
Yeah.
It's really all you can hope for. You're never going to get a great match out of it. If you get what Will Ospreay got out of him, that is like a gigantic bonus. And then you go from there.
And then quickly we'll do the B block because, of course, like you said, you and I have not seen Night 4, so I know there's a lot of stuff that happened on Night 4. I know a very well-received Naito Zack Sabre Jr. match that I'm excited to check out. It's just there's so much stuff going on right now. It's so hard to watch it all. But quickly on the B block, Juice Robinson, Toru Yano, Tetsuya Naito, all at 4 points apiece. I'm assuming Toru Yano and Juice Robinson will not be in the mix until the final days. But what have you thought of Juice and I guess Toru Yano's output so far?
I thought Juice did a good job hyping the crowd up on night one. Got him to stomp and clap to "We Will Rock You," so it felt like a big atmosphere for his match. Naito Tanahashi was obviously awesome.
Oh, how good was that? Just a throwback. That was just Tanahashi's going, you know what? 2013, let's fucking do it. Let's just go.
Yeah. And it's just such an interesting story because he wrestled the perfect match and he channeled his younger self, but he was not good enough to beat the best guy in the company. And that's a great story, because that just sums up 2020 Tanahashi. Even on his very best day where he's channeling his best self, it's not good enough to beat the double champ. So that's a great story to tell. It was a great way for the block to open. And then, we see where we go from there.
Yeah, it's probably my favorite match of the entire tournament so far. I would.
That's fair. I mean, absolutely, that's fair. I think that'd be a lot of people's favorite match of the tournament. And I think that it's really hard to evaluate a block when I've only seen one night. But, the other takeaway I have from the block is I thought Kenta's match was so encouraging because he came to the ring alone and just wrestled.
Yep.
And it occurred to me that with Yano in the block and with Evil in the block, I can't believe we were so stupid to think that Kenta, they weren't going to do that with 3 guys.
Dude, I was worried. You never know what the 2020 New Japan, man. You never know.
3 out of 5 matches, they were not going to do that. So we should have been smarter and realized. But look, his New Japan Strong run has been so frustrating that it was scary. You thought that maybe they would do it with 3 of the matches every night. But he doesn't even come down with a manager. He comes down alone and just wrestles. Now, I didn't see night 4, so maybe we're talking out of our ass and we're going to look stupid. But night 1 to me was very encouraging because, they usually stick to those patterns with each guy. So, I'm fairly confident. Someone in the chat room, did Kenta come down to the ring on night 4 without a manager and wrestle straight? That's all we would like to know. So someone will let us know in a second. But any other takeaways from B block?
Not a ton of ones that really stand out to me. I think, again, without seeing that 4th night, it's hard to really say. Tanahashi at 0 doesn't surprise me all that much. I've heard, the first Evil match. I mean, I guess what was your take on the first of Evil's 2 nights, the one with Zack Sabre Jr.? I thought it was worked pretty clean. I don't know. I think he stinks. Whatever. He was fine, but I'm talking about Zack Sabre Jr. and Evil on night 2, and it's like I see a lot of people being like, "Oh, see, Evil's good." I'm like, he's fine. I don't know. Yeah.
I thought that match was okay.
It was okay, but let's.
I went 3 1/4 on it. It was what it was. The thing about Evil is now it's condensed to 15 minutes.
Yes, which does help a lot. So.
And we are told that Kenta did wrestle on night 4 by himself again with no
Great
bullshit.
news.
That's it. Look,
that's awesome.
You know how they do. Look, they do the same thing every night with everybody. So he did it on night 1. I was fairly certain he would continue. So that was a relief. I mean, if Kenta's going to go out there, look, I like that Goto match. I thought that Goto match was hard hitting. And Kenta beat him clean. I mean, I enjoyed that. I went 3 3/4 on that.
I like that match a lot too.
So, that was an encouraging part of the B block. I mean, we thought the A block was stronger, but we didn't completely bury the B block, and I thought the B block had a good show on night 2, and we're told that the show on night 4 was really good too. So, they'll probably have their nights where, now look, I'm so sick of Yano that it really does not matter to me what Yano does ever. I cannot take it. So,
it's an instant skip, to be honest. I'm not going to waste my time with any Yano matches this year. So
yeah, I mean, I got to watch them.
You have to. I don't. Yeah, if I cover for you, I will. But other than that, instant skip. I don't care.
Not going to pull a Pratt here. I'm going to watch all the matches.
Yeah,
but
life's too short though.
But if I wasn't reviewing them, I might skip them. I might. But so I'm never going to like them. I just resign myself to that. But hard to really break it down any further since we've only seen one night. So
absolutely. So that's that. As we said, patreon.com/voiceswrestling. Joe doing coverage of every single night of the tournament. Also, patreon.com/voiceswrestling. I'm going through past G1s, and we're getting into the final. We're getting into some of the modern matches as well. I think it should be interesting for people as well. 2012. We're going to talk 2014, 2017, some big time, recent G1 finals we're going to talk about. But I've gone through, done 91, 92, 95, 2003. So a lot of really fun matches, a lot of really fun discussions as well so far on the Grade 1 series there. But plenty of G1 coverage, both past and present at patreon.com/voices of wrestling. And speaking of stuff going on the Patreon as well, the Noah N1 Victory Tournament, you have been doing every single night of that. I've seen bits and pieces. I've seen little matches here and there. I've seen what I can. But you've given pretty damn good reviews of this so far, and I'm encouraged by your reviews. I'm encouraged by everybody's reviews. This seems like a total 180 from what the Champion Carnival was giving us with All Japan, correct?
It's been better than the Carnival, yeah. It's not only been better than the Carnival, it just feels bigger. They've done a better job making their tournament feel important than All Japan has with theirs. The Carnival just feels like standard All Japan house shows, listless, lifeless, doesn't help with the clap crowds. They're not doing anything special presentation-wise. And then you turn on these N1 shows, and it feels like a big presentation, and it's important, especially night 1, with the lights out and the lasers and all that bullshit. And then, just Noah being part of a more stable company too, like the on-screen graphics are more professional, and it just feels like a more important and vital tournament than the Carnival does. The Carnival is just so listless, from the in-ring effort to the presentation, right down to the bells and whistles. It feels like they're doing the Carnival because they feel like they have to.
Right.
Whereas the N1, it was well booked coming in. It's well booked as it's going on. There's a lot of cool storyline stuff going on with the booking. The effort among the wrestlers has just been at a different level than the Champion Carnival efforts, where it mostly feels like they just want to get in and out. The Noah guys, they're having Noah matches. They're getting in there and beating the shit out of each other in a lot of cases. And they've made Sakuraba interesting. I watched
Sakuraba and Mochizuki, and I loved it. That was a great match.
Oh, well, that was so good. And Mochizuki, let me tell you, he had the draw against Kiyomiya in his first match, which it had some flaws, but I thought he was excellent there. The Sakuraba match you're talking about, where he just got caught, right?
Yeah, it's like 8 minutes. It's 8 minutes. Sakuraba's kind of working him. Mochizuki goes for something. I forget what he went for exactly. Sakuraba just put him down, locked him in a hold, and Mochizuki just went, well, that's the end of that. I got a lot of tournament ahead of me, and there's no way I'm getting out of this because it's fucking Sakuraba that did it to me. So he taps out. I loved it. Yeah, I love finishes out of nowhere. Stuff like that is awesome, and especially in a tournament setting too.
Yeah, Mochizuki kicked him in the head right at the bell. He attacked him at the bell, and then worked him over. He had a plan, and then he got caught. And the guy beat him. And then Mochizuki, to me so far, is the MVP of the tournament, because then he had a match with Go Shiozaki on the back end of the doubleheader, which I think is not only the match of the tournament, but one of the best matches in any of these tournaments, G1 included. I went 4.5 on it. I thought it was fucking awesome. And And I know you've been trying to watch it. But
yeah, I'm gonna definitely check that one out either tonight or tomorrow morning. Yeah, I tried like hell to watch it before we did the podcast here, but it just didn't work out. So
I know what you like, and you're gonna love it.
yeah, I can't wait. It sounds right up my alley. Everybody that knows what I heard it from not only you, like 2 or 3 other people were like, "Hey, go watch this match. I know you'll love it." So I'm really excited to check it out.
It was. Mochizuki, if he would have lost, he would have been eliminated. So he was wrestling with like a sense of desperation. And it was both guys at their best. And, I know you love Mochizuki, and I know you're not a big Go guy, but if he's at his best, he's a really good
The problem with Go is that sometimes he's so good, and I'm like, man, he's great. I love this guy. And then it's we talked about at the top of the show. The reason I dislike him is because I know he's so good. And there's some times where he just nails it, and I'm like, yes. Because if I just thought he was bad, I wouldn't care, and I would just be like, yeah, whatever, who cares? The reason I get upset is because like sometimes he's so great, and then other times he's so bad, and when he's so bad, it just disappoints me because he is so good at sometimes. And yeah, this one, from what everyone said, is absolutely a match that I need to check out, and to me, a good Go Shiozaki. It seems like the way people are.
I think what's helping Go is he's had 3 matches now. And because they're telling this story with his arm, his matches have a clear focus.
Yes. Yeah, he can get a little late. The matches can be, 24 minutes of him just doing shit. And it's
meandering.
Yeah.
And his work also at times tends to get a little sloppy. He can be sloppy sometimes. But the story that they're telling with him has really kept everything that he's doing tight and focused. Even the opening match he had with Manabu Soya, who I'm loving in this tournament. With, the new look, and he's wrestling like a badass. So it was just Soya trying to rip his arms off. And then Shiozaki making a comeback and winning. And that match, you know what that match reminded me of, and what all of his matches are reminding me of? Nigel McGuinness's Ring of Honor World Title run where his bicep was shot.
Yes. Oh,
you remember that?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I was there live for a lot of those matches too.
And every match was built around that legitimate injury, right? That's what this Shiozaki tournament feels like. Every match is built around these arms, particularly the right arm, because that's the lariat arm, and him trying to get by with just using the left arm. And then eventually he has to sell out and just, fuck it, I've got to accept the pain, because if I don't hit this guy with the right arm, I'm not going to beat him. So it's like, I think these match structures are keeping him focused, and that's really helping his performances too. And his selling has been so great. So I think it's a neck and neck right now, for me at least, with Mochizuki and Go Shiozaki being the 2 best guys in the tournament to this point.
And I did a match that I did watch, highly recommended to me, was Taniguchi versus Nakajima from, what was that, night 3, I want to say, or maybe night 2 rather.
Taniguchi Nakajima was the.
Oh my god!
That was the afternoon show on the doubleheader.
That's right. Okay, that's what that was. Those dudes just went in there and beat the fuck out of each other for 12 minutes. It was awesome.
Well, the Taniguchi comeback was so great because he just started laying headbutts and
he just kind of said, you know what, fuck it, I'm just gonna kill this asshole because I can't figure out another way to beat him, and he did. It was awesome.
And what was great about it is, and Nakajima cost himself because he got cocky.
Yeah,
he could have beat him. And he chose not to with that dumb smile on his face. He's like, I'm going to torture him some more. And then Taniguchi wasn't having it. And he just made this awesome fucking comeback and beat the living shit out of this guy. And then, he's doing the headbutts, and then he's doing the punt kicks to the head.
Yeah. Oh, man.
And then he choke slammed him. And then, he went back up, for his splash. And then, and then he did that one last punt kick and put him away. Yeah, you're right. That's one of the best matches of the tournament, too. That was awesome stuff.
So that's been the Noah N1. Again, you can watch or listen to daily audio from Joe there, and we'll try to catch up. And yeah, by the time the tournament's over, I will hopefully have caught up, and we can have a pretty good discussion about it.
So Kiyomiya is in first place in the A block,
yes,
and I really think, look, I think that block's wide open for him.
Well, how many more nights do we have right now? Sorry to interrupt, but
no, okay. So we've got the next show is Saturday. And that's a Wrestle Universe show. So everybody can see him watch that one with no stress. And then there's a show the following Saturday. So that'll be an Abima show. And then that's it. And then the final is the following Sunday.
Got it. Okay.
So there was a lot of shows in a short period of time. But now you're getting one a week on the weekends.
Oh, it doesn't even end until October 11th. Oh, wow. Okay. All right. Well, that's cool. That gives me plenty of time to catch up then. That's cool. I like that.
Yeah, and then Saturday, there's some possible elimination matches. Then the following Saturday is the final block night. And then, like you said, October 11th for the final. So, and I've been telling people behind the paywall, we'll talk about the final here as opposed to behind the paywall. So 2 more reviews for the paywall. But yeah, both this Saturday and the following Saturday. So I think the A block is Kiyomiya's to win. There's no point in Shiozaki winning the block. And I don't see any of those other guys, Sakuraba, Mochizuki, aren't winning the block.
Yeah, those other 4 have no need to win. It's got to be Kiyomiya's to win, right?
Yeah, I think the block's wide open for him, and he's in first place now. I think, it's a natural story for him to beat Go to lock up the block because that's the whole thing. Like, he feels like Go stole his title, right?
Right.
So it makes sense for him to beat Go to win the block and then, maybe go on to win the final and then maybe win. I think the time might be right, depending how he comes out of his tournament, to win the title back.
Yeah. Win the tournament, beat Go, win the final. Yeah, that seems so perfect then to go ride that momentum and win the title back for sure.
He feels more like a genuine star now than when he had the title.
Yeah, I watched I forget who he was against. I want to say, forget what night I was watching, but just him coming out, just the presence, just the look, just the attitude.
Mochizuki draw, or
it wasn't that. It was something. I might have been the Kitamiya match. Maybe. I forget what it was. I ended up not being able to watch the entire match, so that's why I'm blanking on who it was. I saw their entrances in a few minutes of the match, and I had to go do something else. But
he wrestled Sakuraba. He wrestled Mochizuki.
It would have probably been after the. Yeah, I don't recall exactly.
I guess it's not important though, because
regardless, he came out and he looked like just the presence, just the attitude, just the it seems so arbitrary and weird, but just the posture. You know what I mean? He came out feeling like a dude that's confident. And it's all about, posture is huge in anybody. In a job interview, as a wrestler, we talked about the Road Warriors. Those guys came out and they just looked and acted and immediately were just badasses. Kiyomiya, the first run, always kind of felt like he was just, overwhelmed by everything going on. I'm sure he was. Yes. I'm sure that's...
Listen, we talked about it ad nauseum.
Again, another thing we read about, so...
Yeah, he had this fake ace run.
Yeah, let's get into it. Let's go. Yeah, and it's
but you could clearly see he lacked confidence. He looked scared a lot of the times. The way I would describe him is he looked like a deer in the headlights.
Yeah, for sure.
This was thrust upon him at the age of 22, and they give him this fancy robe, and they give him the title, and he's asked to go out there and carry the company when 10 minutes earlier he was a young boy. And it was too soon. And we screamed about it at the time, and people argued with us, and he wasn't ready. And this downtime away from the main events has done wonders for him. His confidence is up. He's had a chance to learn how to work and learn how to be an ace without the pressures of being the ace.
Yeah, he also, and I mentioned this at the time, too. It might be my first little body guy reference, but he still looked like a little kid when he won the title the first time. He had no mass. He literally looked like a young lion, like you're saying, and he was 22 fucking years old. Already now you could see the body getting a little bit bigger because he's 23. I was skinny when I was 22 as well. You know what I mean? It's hard to put up, but you can already see the posture's better. He's wearing the robe a little bit better. He's walking out with confidence. He's got a nice look on his face. The body's coming together. It's all going in the right direction for him right now, for sure.
And this is exactly what we said they needed to do. Get the title off of him and let him breathe a little bit away from the main events and let him grow into this role. Because he's the guy. Okay? We all know he's the guy. They already committed that long title run to him to kind of establish him. And he's the guy. Kano is not the guy. Kano is a perfect foil for the guy. That's how I see Kano. Okay? And he's good for that role. Nakajima, he could be the guy with his reinvention. But Kiyomiya is the long-term guy. Okay? It's funny to say this. It's so weird to say this. But Nakajima's 30 already. It's time for the next guy.
Right.
He's been young forever, but it's this dude's 23. He's the future. And he's the one that they're investing all of their future in. So I think the A block is his for the taking. The B block's a little more interesting because, Nakajima could win it. Kano could win it. Sugi could win it. I don't think Marufuji will win it. And the other two guys are non-factors. But, Kano would be, again, kind of a good foil in a final, I think, against Kiyomiya, especially since there's history there. Kano knocking him out cold on January 3rd a couple years ago. And then they redid that match when, remember they did the match again exactly 1 year later. So there's history there between Kano and Kiyomiya. So to me, I think Kiyomiya beating Go Shiozaki and then maybe beating Kano, would be an excellent story to tell if he's going to win the tournament. Nakajima, I think, is a threat to win the tournament. And even Kano could always win the tournament. Segura's always a threat. So I think the B block's a little more wide open. I just see a clear path for Kiyomiya in the A block. Yeah,
for sure. I definitely do as well. And that's probably the easiest path is sometimes the best path, too. So, I'm all for that.
That's right. Sometimes in wrestling, the obvious story just happens.
It's just the way to go, yeah.
To be the right story. You don't always have to surprise everybody. There's times where you don't want to give people what they want, and there's times where it's absolutely the right call to give people what they want. So this may be one of those scenarios.
Well, I'm excited to hear that the schedule's a little stretched out there, because I feel bad that I haven't been able to watch any of these. I've been watching G1, I've been watching all these other things, but now I got some time to catch up on the N1. And
I'll tell you, okay, this will be good for the listeners too.
You have I heard the paper. You got the recommended match list right here.
I got it all out. Night one.
Hold on, I'll get the notepad up here. All right, go ahead.
Oh, you're really good. You're really good at.
Oh no,
down.
for sure, yeah, absolutely.
Man, this audio's killing me. Hold on.
That's fine. You've only done 80 hours this week, so what the hell? Come on.
And I got to watch that G1 show as soon as we're done and do that.
God. Well, you did this yourself. I recommended you not do this. But
this is it. Once I get past that.
Yeah, because Carnival's done. You're in the rear view now. You're good.
No, it's like one show a night for the rest. It's fine. This was just the roughest stretch because yesterday there was 3 shows. On top of the Thursday TV review.
Right, and on top of this stupid show. So.
Yeah, so this... Hold on. This was the toughest stretch. Just so unprofessional. Okay, so
yes,
night one.
That was the unprofessional part of this show. Yes.
That's right.
We're always, if not the most professional operation possible. But you coughing, now you've thrown it all for a loop. So
I told a story on the TV reviews today of an ex-girlfriend's. I had an ex-girlfriend whose mother once blurted out that red panties were for whores.
Ooh.
So there's an unprofessional story for you.
Is that true?
Fit the context of what I was talking about.
Is that true?
No, it's a real story. I had a girlfriend.
No, I mean, is that the red panties thing true? I never knew that. So
it might have been true for this old lady.
Okay, I don't know. Is that a thing in the 30s? The flappers, if they were.
I don't think it's a thing now. No, I had this girlfriend when I was like 19 or 20, right? And obviously, she still lived at home. We were really young. And her mother was really old because she's someone who had a kid later in life. So the woman was already like well into her 60s at this point, right? So I don't even remember why she said it.
What a bizarre way for the conversation to go, yeah.
I don't even know. Yeah, and she just blurted out to us. She's like, I guess maybe we were talking. I don't think I would have been talking about panties.
That's what I'm saying. 19-year-old me is going over to a girlfriend's house talking about underwear. I don't think it's anything that I would do. So
I don't know how it came up, but she was just like, yeah, I don't know. Red panties are for whores. And I will never forget that. It's been burned into my brain. How could you forget that? Right? This like older lady, and like on Dynamite, Trent said to FTR, you guys are already wearing your little red panties, so let's just have a match tonight.
Yeah.
And every time someone brings up red panties, I think about this 65-year-old woman who told me that red panties were for whores. So I don't even know why am I telling this story twice in one day?
I have no idea.
So it's like the subscribers are like, Joe, we heard this.
Yes, we know. Red panties are for whores. We get it. Go.
And it's disgusting, and I don't want to think about it, and you're telling it to me twice. Okay, night one of the N1, I went 3.5 on everything except for the opener.
Oh,
so it's all
okay. All right, get out of here. I'm not watching the whole night. So
No. That's the only night where it's like that. But that had the Mochizuki Kiyomiya draw, and the Shiozaki Soya match I told you about, and Kano Nakajima in the main event.
All right.
And it's night one. They came out big.
Night one, plus, watch everything is what I have. Okay, fine.
You could skip Sugera Inamura. It stunk.
Okay.
But no, that they came out in the big arena. It was a big look. Just watch all those matches. Okay, night two, I would say, is entirely skippable. Small building, 100 fans, and they really didn't try very hard. So, You don't have to worry about night 2. And you already watched Mochizuki Sakura.
Yeah, I was going to say that's the only one that would probably matter, right? And I already got that, so.
Yeah, a bunch of fucking gentleman threes. Day 4 was the doubleheader. On the first show, you already watched Taniguchi Nakajima. And I would say that's the must-watch match off of that show. The only one. Now, you might want to watch that on Fight to listen to the awful commentary.
Oh, my God, I heard. Yeah, I did not watch, but I heard, so.
So bad.
Can we please, and when we heard that these were the names, these were the names that got, because these are the same people that did DDT, right?
Yes.
Okay. We
were warned. We
were warned, and we were given, we were relayed messages as to who these people were asking for like advice from. And I'm not like throwing those people under the bus, but I'm like, the way that they were asking questions was like, oh, you have no idea what this is. Like, you've never watched DDT.
Yeah. You're
like, hey, what is DDT? Like, the questions were like, hey, what kind of style is DDT? And I'm like, oh boy, like, you can't do DDT unless you know DDT. And you can't really do any Japanese promotion unless you know that company.
Well, Rich, this feels like a good time to mention that as soon as they hit the air, both Rob Hockman and Sonny Ono probably repeated a half a dozen times that we were about to see some good, strong style action.
Of course, yes.
So, I mean, that's what we were dealing with here right out of the gate.
Right, yeah, just ridiculous. There's no reason, especially in 2020, there is no reason to have English commentary with people that don't know what the hell is going on.
Well, the worst part about it was they clearly did not even bother preparing.
Right, and that annoys me more than anything. I if you get booked for this and they say, hey, we need you to do Noah, and you go, oh shit, I don't know anything about Noah, but you know what? That's fine. I'll learn. I'll do a crash course. I'll ask the right people. I'll watch a bunch of Noah. I'll get to know it. Like, because that was like Kevin Kelly. I'll always remember when Kevin Kelly first did New Japan, you could tell he had very little idea what was going on. But like 2-3 shows in, he got it. He did the research. He dug in, and then he became great from that point forward. And he's still great.
He did the work, and he didn't embarrass himself on those early shows because he did the work. And then he caught up. Because, Rich, once you start watching wrestling, it's easy.
Yeah, it's not hard. You just got to watch a little bit of it. But, like, I always remember, like, the flip side of that being Lanny Poffo doing New Japan. Remember that?
Yeah. No effort.
Where he clearly flew in, got off the plane, and went, all right, wrestling. And they're like, well, what do you know about New Japan? He goes, absolutely nothing. It's like, okay, well, that's not going to work. You need to know a little bit. Yeah, so just embarrassing in 2020 that we still have that, where there's so many people, especially English language, that could probably help that out. I understand maybe it's hard to find a play-by-play guy, but there's no excuse not to find a color guy who actually knows what the hell's going on with Noah. So
he is the champion of the British?
Right. Lanny.
Never
got the call back, unfortunately. So the champion of the British.
The lack of preparation was so obvious because the opener was a 6-man tag, and Hockman wouldn't say who anybody was
because he didn't know anything.
No, listen. He wouldn't say who anyone was until the ring announcer announced them.
Got it. Oh, okay. Yeah.
And then because the Japanese do the first name and last name in reverse.
Oh no.
You know where I'm going.
Did he say Soya Manabu?
And then he was calling them by their first names because the ring announcer was saying the first name last. That's how unprepared he was.
Oh no.
No, it was horrendous. Horrendous.
Oh no.
Okay? And then when the match started, he couldn't remember what the names were, right? So then he just called everybody O'Hara. He was calling everybody because I knew O'Hara was.
What?
It was. I swear to you.
You just decided I'm just going to call everybody that name and I'll be right 1 out of 4 times. And that's better than being wrong every time.
No, but here's the thing. He was misidentifying O'Hara. But he was calling his other 2 partners O'Hara every time they tagged in. So in other words, he was like trying to spray to all fields and just hope that it was right.
Yeah. So was that the Kotogi O'Hara Yoshiaka match?
Yes, that's the match you're looking at.
Okay, so he was probably very confused by the fact that there was an O'Hara and a Harada, right?
Okay, this is what was going on.
There was an Okada, a Harada, and an O'Hara. I'm sure he did not enjoy that at all.
The team with O'Hara had Atsushi Kotoge.
Yes.
Okay. He was calling O'Hara Atsushi the whole time. Not even Kotoge, because, again, he was using first names for a lot of the guys. But I guess O'Hara was more memorable to him. And then when O'Hara would tag out to whoever, he would call whoever came in the ring O'Hara. Like either guy.
Oh boy.
So it was Atsushi and O'Hara, no matter who was in, like. But eventually, Sonny Ono corrected him. Like, he's like, no, that's O'Hara. You're calling O'Hara Atsushi. Sonny Ono knew who the people were.
He just wanted this guy to sink. Yeah, he didn't give a shit.
No, he was just so bad in other ways.
Oh,
like,
I see.
He would try to explain things, and he was just a mush mouth. Like, he would trip over his words, and it would take him forever to make the point. And then, to show you how further unprepared they were, Kano comes out for his match wearing the national title because he's the national champ.
Oh, no.
Right?
They thought that was the top title, didn't they?
He thought it was the top title.
Oh, no.
And he knew that Kano won the N1 before. So he said, yeah, if Kano could win this thing, it's good for him because then he doesn't have to challenge himself for that GHC championship.
No.
And the only reason he said that is because he saw him wearing a belt. Like, he didn't do the basic research to see that he wasn't the GHC champion. He was the national champion. And he also assumed that by winning the N1 previously, that's how he won the title. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He thinks this he was completely lost in every way. No clue. Never explained how the tournament worked. It wasn't until like the third tournament match that they brought up like Taniguchi needed to win to survive. He brought that up. Like, that was the first time he brought up the points. Like, if you were a first-time Noah viewer, you might have thought this was like a knockout tournament. Like, just, this is
not round robin. This guy loses, he's done, yeah.
No rundown of the points, no rundown of the blocks, no explanation of anything. Forget just calling moves. I mean, let's not get complicated here. You know what I mean? Like,
well, I'm especially not going to throw stones at that because I have no fucking clue. But that's why I don't want to do the play-by-play.
No, I agree. But if you're a play-by-play man, you should know that.
Exactly. You should go for it. Yeah.
Like, we're idiots, but who cares? You know, like, just.
I'm not taking anybody's money to be a play-by-play guy. So
this is going to be your favorite one, and I'm leaving out so much, but this is going to be your favorite one. About halfway through the show, Sonny Ono sets him up. He sets him up to plug what I assume was Wrestle Universe, right? Like, if you want to watch the rest of this great action, here's how you do it. So Sonny Ono says, so Rob, how can these great fans continue to watch this tournament? You know,
get the plug in. Yeah, dude, yeah, for sure.
Tell these fans how they could watch the rest of this tournament. Hockman, no clue. And he's going, oh, yeah, well, these fans could go to the great website, noah.com, and they can check out all this great action. Number one.
What is it? Is noah.com go to some religious website? I'm gonna actually
punch it in, buddy. You're gonna die. Punch in noah.com.
Enter twins birth photo album. What?
It is a baby photo album of some kid named Noah. And it's from like 1998. It's like an Angel Fire page.
My God, what a great website. Unbelievable.
It's getting record hits because I've been talking about
God
this
protect our troops. I support the soldiers. And then there's just 3 pages of Noah being born.
Baby pictures. It's a dead. It's a dead personal website.
This guy's renewing it every single year, though. That's the important part, though.
Yeah. I think Noah is 26 years old now. This is like
right. We got to find this Noah. I think we could do it. You know, honestly, this is my project for the weekend. I will try to find this Noah for you.
So I'm almost positive.
I'll do a who is search for this guy here. Let's see what we can do here. Anyway,
so I'm almost positive.
Although his dad, who probably registered, is probably dead now. The guy who registered this, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's like 74 at this point now. So.
I'm sure that was meant to be a Wrestle Universe plug, right? But he didn't even have the plug straight, and he just made up a URL along the way. He just assumed it was Noah.com. I mean, this guy, and and here's the other thing. They both sounded like they were on 2 cans and a string. Okay? I am convinced that Hockman was on his cell phone doing the commentary. That's the other thing about it, too. So, an absolute disaster from every aspect. Just terrible. And I can't imagine a first-time viewer ever trying another show out. That was show-killing commentary to the point where someone who watched would never watch again, no matter how good the matches were. So, flat out atrocious.
I think I can get him.
What do you got on Noah here?
I think I got it. Let me I'll reach out. See if this is the true. I was able to dive in. Oh boy. I think I got it. Well, the site was registered in 1995, in case you're curious.
I told you. It's from the fucking 90s.
Yeah.
This kid how old does that make the kid? 25. I told you the kid was 26 years old.
Yeah. So the domain expires August 26, 2023. So get your maybe inform Pro Wrestling Noah. This is the time when they can swoop in and try to get it. And there is a contact name and email address. I'm not going to mention it here because I don't want to do that. But I'm going to email this person that's on the contact list and ask if Noah.com is there, because it might just be like the name of the guy that like I don't know. But looking at picture, well, you know what?
Rich.
I think I got him. I'm looking at the dad holding the baby, and I'm looking at the man that I found.
Yeah,
we got him.
Looks like him.
We're gonna get Noah on the show. Let's do it.
This was a website set up for a newborn baby who is now older than Kato Kiyomiya.
Right. How do I explain the reason why I'm emailing this man? After the show, let's you and I we'll
have to figure it out.
Yeah, we'll figure it out of how the best way. But I
want
think
to harass this guy. Like, is that?
Yeah, no, I don't want to harass him. I just want to like let him know that we've been talking about. If he sees a spike in website traffic, this is the reason why.
Hockman told everybody to go to Noah's
to go to his website, and then we just want to ask like how Noah's doing, a little bit about the website. Like I think this could be a story. So I like this. No, this is definitely him. I'm at his LinkedIn page. And I'm at the first picture of Noah.com.
Yeah.
We got him. This is him.
Good job.
For sure.
Tremendous job.
I will, I'll send you the information and see what we can do here.
Yeah.
Incredible. All right. All right. We got about a half an hour left in this show. Let's jump to, I want to talk about this Dragongate cage match. You have not seen it yet because I guess you've been busy watching other wrestling for some reason, right?
Man, I didn't get to it.
You didn't get to it. That's okay.
My classic, listen, my highly touted time management skills have failed me. I've had a rough 32 hours here. So, no, I did not get to the Dragongate cage match.
Yeah, so you are fine. Joe, watch this match. Incredible Dragongate cage match. They're always good. This one was particularly awesome. I loved this one. It's one of my favorite ones in years. Case Lowe has a great review at voiceswrestling.com. The Open the Voice Gate guys obviously did a great job covering it on this week's podcast. So if you want extensive Dragongate coverage, that is where you go here. But I will just tell you, do you want me to spoil anything or do you want to go in fresh? I think it's honestly better if you go in fresh.
I'm already spoiled.
You're already spoiled? Okay. So I will say, when you do watch it, it's a great, and I'm glad we had that discussion we just had about Noah right there with a terrible announcing, because the flip side of that was Jay and Ho Ho Lun on English commentary, which you can go to Dragongate's streaming site, the English commentary. I think that stays up forever, right? Because like the Japanese is weird. The Japanese goes away for after a week and it doesn't come back for like a month and a half or some shit like that. I think the English they keep up no matter what because they don't care. There's no competing,
That might be true. I'm the worst person to
I think that's the case, but if I'm wrong, sorry, but I think you're good for another few days to go on to the Dragongate streaming service and listen to the English commentary.
So this was good English.
Oh my god, it was incredible. So the get ready for the main event, and you'll appreciate this too because Ho Ho Lun is your Rob Hockman. He has no fucking clue what's going on whatsoever, and who can blame him? I mean, the Dragongate rules and the Dragongate everything is very difficult for most people to understand.
Better or worse than Yoshitatsu? Remember him doing New Japan?
Better because it was more endearing.
Yeah.
Yoshitatsu was just annoyingly dumb about everything.
Yeah.
Where Ho Ho Lun, it was great. So he's like, what happens if they get the flag? And Jay's like, all right, great question, Ho Ho Lun. Well, this is like what, and then, so he's basically asking these like basic questions.
Did he refer to him as Ho Ho Lun?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. No, he just
that would be awesome. Great question, Ho Ho Lun.
I don't think he did not do that, but I wish he did. That would have been even better.
Hold on. I have more questions. Did he call him Ho Ho? Because that's funny.
I don't think he called him Ho Ho. I don't think he called him anything, unfortunately. So.
Well, what did he call him? He got to call him something.
I think he just responded to his questions.
At some point, you got to refer to the man.
Maybe he did. I don't remember if he called him Ho Ho or Ho Ho Lun or whatever. So it doesn't matter. But...
I'm curious. I got to find that out.
Yeah.
Anyway,
but either way, yeah. So we start out with the cage match. Jay goes, all right, the rules of this cage match are very simple. Of course, 14 minutes later,
he's done. Yeah, they're definitely not simple.
Yeah. The rules are very simple. And then 26 minutes later, and those are the rules. Like, that's all it is to it. So, and the best part about this is Holon is listening to all this and taking it all in. He kind of had like an Art Donovan, but like in a way more endearing way, like not annoying way, because it would finish. And then the best part is Holon had an idea. He's like, well, then the guys can run in. Because Jay's like, there's no rules, there's no disqualification, you can do whatever you want. And Holon's like, well, the guys are just going to run in. And he's like, except for running in, you can't run in. And he's like, damn it. The best part was Holon thinking he had one over on Jay.
Right.
Like, well, the guys are just going to run in. He's like, no, you can't run in. You can interfere outside of the cage. You can prevent people from leaving the cage, but you can't go in the cage. You can't get in the cage to do that. So anyway, they go through all the rules. They go through all the scenarios. They go through all that sort of stuff. The best part about this is after Holon asks like 26 different questions, goes, well, I'm just asking this for the audience at home that doesn't know what's going on. You know what I mean? Like the classic, I know what's going on, but can you very slowly and detailedly, in as much detail as possible, explain to the viewers how this works, Jay, please?
So you said you're a doctor, because I have a friend who has this lump on his dick,
right?
And I was wondering, like that kind of deal. Absolutely,
yeah, it was great. Like, oh well, just so everybody knows, I'm asking on behalf of people that are maybe haven't watched Dragongate before. I loved it. It was perfect, but it was really, really good. And Jay's just incredible. If you haven't listened to his commentary recently, when he first started doing stuff with Larry Dallas, you could tell there was a certain like apprehension, similar to Kiyomiya.
Yeah.
It's like this dude just got a mic and said, all right, do Dragongate English commentary. And he's like, oh, okay. Like, I'll do it. And he was fine. Like, he knows everything about Dragongate. You know what I mean? Nobody knows more about Dragongate, than him, Mike Spears, and Case Lowe. And obviously Jay's level of expertise even blows those guys away. And that's nothing against those guys. It's just Jay knows fucking everything about Dragongate. So, So, like, at first he was just a guy that knew a lot about Dragongate, but he's becoming a good announcer. He's got confidence. He's carrying the broadcast. He's carrying, he lets you know about the rules. He lets you know who everybody is. He's really gotten good. Like, I really cannot put over how well that was. And Holon just added enough of, like, real commentary to it. Like, mostly asking him questions, and then Jay would just go on and talk a little bit. And Holon knew when to kind of stay out of the way and let Jay kind of run the show. So really, really cool stuff there if you're going to listen to the English commentary. Doesn't take away from the product at all. So that's what always helps. But, the match itself was incredible. Really, really good stuff. You get a big turn with Kai turning on Yamato to join RED. Ultimo Dragon coming out to save Yoshino's career. Because Yoshino, if he didn't win, he would have to, retire on the spot. Ultimo Dragon comes out to a huge pop to save Yoshino. Shimizu loses. Eita and RED kind of, not necessarily turn on him, but basically just kind of kick him to the corner and say whatever, because now he's got to be out of RED. He's got to shave his head. He's got to go back to, the old Shimizu. He can't be Big R anymore. So just a lot of really cool stories involved in that. Kai turning on him. And the great part about that too is the Kai story they told, and Dragongate was so good at the multi-layered stories, is that Kai comes in first, or he's one of the first two guys in there. And his story is he can run out of the cage right away if he wants, but then he has to join RED. If he's the first one out, he has to join RED. And he's got an opportunity to go, but he doesn't want to join there. And then, Yoshino's getting beaten up, or Yamato's getting beaten up, and he doesn't come down to help him. And Yamato's like, come on and help me. Like, you don't want to go outside of the ring now. You want to help me go out. I go out first, then you can go out, and then we're good. Everyone's settled. I win. I don't have to wear boxer briefs or whatever the hell Yamato's thing was. I think it was something like that. And you don't have to join RED. So come help me out. And Kai doesn't immediately come because he's in a perfect position to walk out of the cage.
Right,
so Yamato does eventually beat up who he needs to, gets up to the top of the cage, and then goes, okay, let me get the flag, and then you get the flag, and then this is perfect. And then Kai hits him over the head with the big drum.
And turns on him.
Yeah, it's perfect. It's, oh my God, the way they did it caught me by complete surprise too. Just a perfect turn, the way they did it.
Yeah, and that when Dragongate, these cage matches are always booked like that, where it's just, it's hard to predict, and it's always so well done, in that way. And with Big R pressing the reset button on him, I mean, I think we both agree we didn't like the direction his character.
I didn't like. He got a little too sleazy, a little too junky to me. So yeah,
he looks like someone who belongs in like 666 or
right, yeah,
Heat Up or something
or just like some shitty, like he's in the opener of like a 6-man opener of like a Fortune Dream show or whatever.
Yeah,
or team with Trans Am or whatever. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, like finishing in 8th place in the 01 Fire Festival. Like that's what he looks like, So it's like he definitely needed that fresh coat of paint for sure.
So yeah, beautifully done. And then it's all up to Big R and Yoshino as the final two guys. As you said, RED, tries to, get in there and help Big R, but then, Ultimo Dragon comes out and saves Yoshino, saves one of his early, his mentor or Yoshino's mentor saves him. Yoshino escapes. He's good. And then Shimizu was out of RED. But yeah, tremendous work. And one of those matches too, where like normally, and we talk about this all the time. It's all about like, we don't want wrestling to be one way. We don't want every wrestler to be the same way. A match like this in a lot of other companies, I would eye roll and think kind of sucks. It's a bunch of dudes in a cage. It's a bunch of gimmicks on top of gimmicks on top of gimmicks on top of gimmicks. There's guys throwing baseballs at each other. There's guys, they had an air horn this time and they were using the air horn in each other's ears and stuff, which is actually hilarious. It's great. Yeah. KZ found an air horn and just decided, this is kind of cool. So he just sprays he just blares this air horn in guys' ears the entire time. It's really, really good stuff.
And they're like selling it and falling
off.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. They're at the top of the cage and then KZ comes over and goes,
and they're like holding their ears.
Yeah, it's perfect. It's great. Yeah, it's awesome. And like that would suck in most other companies, but Dragongate does it so well. And that's what we say. It's not about like one thing or wrestling being one thing, but it's about it fitting the ethos and fitting the company. And this shit fits Dragongate perfectly. So yeah, go out of your way to watch this one. I know Case went 4.5 with it. I'm probably right there with him. I just absolutely loved it. Thought it was tremendous stories. The work itself isn't, blow away. It's just like guys trying to get out of a cage, but there's enough
story.
Yeah, it's a story. You're in there for the story. You're being, taken down a path, and they absolutely do a great job of it here. So
yeah, I'm gonna watch the whole show for sure. So
yeah, I've heard the whole show is like a show of the year contender. So I will also do the same thing where I'll try to watch everything. So
yeah.
Just there's a lot of wrestling going on right now. So
yeah, a little bit.
All right, so what do we got here? We got about 20 minutes to go. Do we even talk about this WWE pay-per-view? Do we care?
We got to do it.
All right. So rumor has it there's a pay-per-view this weekend. Clash of Champions. Bobby Lashley, Apollo Crews, U.S. title.
Rich, get into it.
Get into what? They're not into it.
Little live instant reaction this weekend, maybe, huh?
Hell no. Maybe. Maybe.
Ooh,
maybe. I don't know. It's the only opportunity. Like, dude, if I don't watch this
what
match,
night is that?
It's Sunday, dude. I don't think
I don't
want to
do
on
that.
Sunday. Yeah, get out of here. Maybe I will. Because if I don't watch it on Sunday, I'm never going to watch it. Or I'll just do something else with my night. We'll see what happens. I'll let you know. So, not you. Yeah. You're out of it. You're exempt. You're not doing it. I will do an instant reaction if I need to, but you're out. Okay.
Maybe not a live one. Just do the old school and put it on the $5.
Yeah.
That way you don't have to be on no pressure.
No. So Bobby Lashley, Apollo Crews for the 80th time here for the U.S. title.
Yeah.
That is a match. Indeed, that is happening on Sunday at WWE Clash of Champions. Asuka versus Selena Vega for the Raw Women's Championship. So,
I mean,
they couldn't wait to get Selena Vega away from Andrade and Angel Garza, and now she's got a title match.
Yeah, they're going to fuck her up too, is basically what's happening here. So.
Because Mickie James is old and fat, so we got to get her out of here as quick as possible. So
Piggy James.
Yeah, can you believe that?
Has that woman never looked good? I mean, has she ever not looked good?
I know, she's phenomenal. She's incredible. She's hotter than ever, too. From the minute they brought her in, they thought she was fat and ugly. Like, from the moment they brought her in. It's like,
baffling.
What are you guys looking at? Yeah, Vince just decided, like...
It's great. I don't know.
Oh, God, yeah. Unbelievable. All right. Raw tag team titles, the Street Profits versus Andrade and Angel Garza. Angel Garza and Andrade were arguing with each other. Selena Vega's out of the picture. Now they're buddies again. So.
Oh, no. They full on broke up. The team broke up. And now not only are they back together, but they're getting a tag team title shot. Rich, as low as we think WWE can go, we've had moments on this show where we've said it's the worst it's ever been. It cannot get any lower. It continues to get worse.
This stretch. I really, 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 really honestly think this is so laughably, ridiculously bad what they're doing right now. Nothing makes sense. Week to week, nothing makes sense. There's no cohesive stories. Nobody's being pushed. It's a disaster. And that's the thing. We're not angry about it anymore because it's so bad. And it seems like irredeemable. Like, I don't even know what you do. You have to you go away for 6 months. You have to go dark for 6 months and come back at this point.
Well, I mean, look, the comparisons to peak bad at WCW continue. Because what did WCW do every time it got this ugly? They pressed the reset button. Because the only thing you can do to redeem this is press the reset button. And they're never going to do that in this company. But that was always WCW's answer. Fuck it. Put a new person in charge and start it over from scratch. That's the point we've reached here. This is the worst that WWE has ever been in their entire history in every way. In every way.
Yeah.
It's awful.
Yeah,
this
show is ridiculous. Garbage. This show is ridiculous. Yeah, Andrade and Angel Garza, like you said, broke up. Peyton Royce and Billy broke up, and they're not allowed to team anymore, but they're friends again. The Riot Squad's just back together because they do things with no plan whatsoever. Nothing. There's no. What do we break down? What do we talk about? What do we react to? There's nothing. It just happens. Shit just happens.
It's like trying to break down Thunder episodes.
Right. Yeah.
That's what this is now, because they don't have a plan. They just do things to do them. There's no plan at all. So yeah, it's irredeemably bad. It's just and we stopped breaking down their booking probably 2 years ago, but now there's just no point at all. Just, you cannot analyze something that is completely random. You know what I mean? Like you can't predict something that has no pattern or is completely random. So, and you can't analyze something that has no patterns and is completely random.
It's us breaking down if it's going to be heads or tails as we're flipping a coin. Well, I think it's going to be tails because it was heads. No, you don't know. It's fucking to be one or the other. Like, this team will break up or they'll win, or every team's breaking up. Everyone's going away. Like, nothing matters. It's like a roulette wheel. It's just chance. You cannot. Me saying, Joe, it's going to be 13 because it was 11 last time, and you're like, well, why did you come to that conclusion? I'm like, I don't know. Like,
exactly. Yeah.
It just seems like it's the time for it to be 13. You're like, all right, whatever. Like. Mm-hmm. And then it's 12, and I'm like, oh, well, close. It didn't happen, but
that's what it is. WWE is a roulette wheel now. It's just everything's completely random.
The ball bounces, and that's 14. All right, cool.
Yeah. What's the other hot match coming? What's match number 4 here?
Oh, Jeff Hardy, AJ Styles, and Sami Zayn in a ladder match. Let's get it.
Add it to the count. How many ladder matches is that?
Oh my god.
Could you imagine being one of these three men and being forced to put your body on the line?
I know. And Jeff Hardy's over 40, broken down beyond belief. AJ Styles is over 40. Sami Zayn's obviously broken down. What? Why? Why would you do this?
Why?
I hope these guys put no effort into it, but I know they won't because they all these guys try really hard. So Jeff Hardy's definitely doing a swanton off a ladder through a table. Sami Zayn's gonna do something crazy too. AJ, I don't know. He'll probably just hang out in the back, but yeah, that's our 28th ladder match of the year, so get into it. Get excited. And this was built by Sami Zayn losing, by the way, which is incredible.
Yeah.
He came back and said, I'm the real champion, and then lost. and they got a title shot. Oh, my God. All right. I guess this doesn't sound right, but 2-on-3 handicap for the SmackDown Tag Team titles. Is that true? Is that true?
Fuck if I know. You think I watched this shit?
I don't know. Cesaro and Shinsuke Nakamura defending their titles against the Lucha House Party. Presumably all three of them, I guess. Is that true? Hold on a minute. Let me find out if that's actually true. So.
Well, listen.
I copied and pasted that from another website, but it seems unreasonable. But I mean,
well, Rich, this is classic pro wrestling psychology with two heels facing three baby faces. So why wouldn't they be doing this?
I don't know. I don't think it's 2-on-3. I think it's an and/or situation.
It's like whichever two show up.
I think it's a Freebird situation, yeah.
Yeah, just, whoever wants to wrestle that thing.
All right, great. Good
that's
to do
fine.
It. Exciting. Yeah. Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler, who hate each other, against the Riot Squad, Ruby Riott and Liv Morgan, who like each other again. For some reason.
The Riot Squad, which broke up. I think they broke up too and got back together again, right? So there's 4 tag teams in this company. And then the tag team champions don't like each other.
Right.
But they stay together.
Yes.
Even though they don't like each other. Right. So,
oh my God.
What do you want me to say?
I'm mostly upset that the glow up of Liv Morgan has been regressed back into whatever she is now with the Riot Squad. That's the most disappointing part about this all.
Liv Morgan. What about Liv Morgan?
Well, she's back to wearing the Riot Squad gear anymore. She
got rid of the leather, right?
Yeah, I was kind of into the leather. I won't lie. I was into the leather cleavage look that she had going. So
you were being horny there, but not
yes,
obvious.
Yeah. But
be horny. It's the third hour.
That's true. You're right.
It's the horny hour. You could be horny about Liv Morgan's leather. I don't even think the nurse can get annoyed at that one.
No, she was into it. Remember, she got all
so hot and bothered.
By the Liv Morgan. She was like, "Whoa!" Remember that? Who is that? Although
Like
once she found out she was Italian, she didn't like it. She thought she was Nordic and was all into it. But
what's her bias against the Italians?
you gotta ask her, man. I don't know.
She's had that one Italian friend that was nuts, and I think that's what it is. Remember?
Yeah, but she's got a good Italian friend too, so I don't know what it is.
So what's her deal then?
I don't know. You gotta ask her. No, she loves the Italians. I don't know. You gotta ask her.
I don't know.
She's learning Italian right now. I think she's in the other room doing Italian lessons right now.
She went to Italy.
Yeah.
So she's got problems with my people, but she has
I think she has a problem with your people when they live in New Jersey, but I think deep down Italians, like real true Italians, she likes, but not the Jersey scum. So
what makes it? Whoa!
You got to bring it up with her, man. I don't know. I'm just saying.
What the fuck, dude? What do you think? Like the Italians in New Jersey didn't come from Italy? Like where?
I don't know. No, well, you're uncultured swine once you take. I don't know. Yeah, ask her. I don't know.
I think you're projecting through her.
No, I would never. I would never. Are you kidding? Bayley and Nikki Cross, SmackDown Women's Championship.
I don't like what I'm hearing here.
I assure you, it's not me.
We taught the world how to eat. Remember that, my friend.
I appreciate it.
Okay. What's the match?
Yeah, one second. I'm relaying to the nurse how much longer this show's got to go on for. 5 minutes, yep.
That's it?
No, not really. I think it's like, let's see here. 10 minutes. Under 10 minutes. All right, get out of here. Scram. Bayley, Nikki Cross.
Yeah, it's Bayley versus Nikki Cross. Yeah, should be a hell of a contest. Rich, I don't want to watch this.
I said we was going to just skip this.
I don't want to watch it. I really don't want to watch this. Sunday night, there's going to be a football game on.
Well, I think there's a really good chance that it's Bayley loses this because, of course, they want to, they want her to have the title going into her huge feud with the boss, Sasha Banks. So
yeah, why would you want to do that?
Yeah. No, I mean Bayley's going to win this match, and
you would think
Nikki Cross is weird and strange or something. I don't know.
Well, I mean, Nikki Cross's friend is now possessed by the.
How bad was that?
God, how bad is all of this?
It's so horrendous.
People are always like, God, you guys should review Raw.
No, dude, I'd rather die.
I honestly, people think it would be entertaining, but I don't know if I could be funny breaking down a 3-hour Raw. Unless people think this segment is good, because I think it's horrible.
Yeah, I'm tortured and I cannot wait to finish it. Yeah, so
I feel like this is horrible radio, right? People want us to do this for a 3-hour Raw and a 2-hour SmackDown every week. How much respect do you have for Dave and Brian and Sean Ross Sapp and John Pollock and why doing this, or is it why or
it's way, but that's fine.
I pronounce everything wrong. For doing twice a week they do this.
I know. I look at them like tweeting on Mondays. I'm like out doing whatever, and I look, and they're just like, that doesn't make any sense. What's Retribution doing? And I'm like, oh my God. I can't believe it. And then they have to punch record at fucking midnight and talk about Raw. Like
every Monday and Friday, these men have to not only watch these shows, which is torturous enough, then they have to, like you said, at fucking midnight, break them down. They have to break down the unbreakdownable twice a week. And then 3 times a week when there's a pay-per-view. What a tortured existence. I mean, I don't think the listeners can comprehend how horrible that must be the way that we comprehend how horrible that must be. It just has to be the fucking worst. I can't, Rich, I can't. What price tier would induce you to want to do that to your life?
Honestly, none, really.
I mean,
money is not that important. Like, I love money. That's great. But, like, I couldn't do it. I would hate my life if I had to every Monday sit down and watch Raw, get the bag of popcorn ready and watch fucking Monday Night Raw and watch the Raw exclusive contracted T-Bone or whatever the fuck his name is.
If there was a $50 tier.
No.
You got to hear me out. How many people would have to subscribe to it where you'd say, I can commit my Mondays and Fridays to Raw and SmackDown?
I guess, like, presumably I'll be at, like, a beautiful estate in, like, the hills of Malibu or something like that. So
it's a 3-hour commitment to watch, and then, like, a 2-hour commitment to put it down on the wax and put it out to the listeners. A 5-hour commitment to Monday Night Raw every Monday. And then 4 days later doing it again for the SmackDown where The Fiend resides.
And the possessed Alexa Bliss. Yeah.
How many subscribers would it take at the $50 tier? Get your calc. Hold on.
Maybe 1,000.
1,000.
Yeah, we're $50K there.
That's $50,000 a month.
I know it's really that bad though. I don't think I would care. I don't. That money, my time is more valuable than that. To be honest.
And $50,000 a month.
Yeah, I think so. Because what tortured existence do I live? My nice house, and I have to say no, honey, I can't do anything. I have to watch Retribution. I have to watch Slapdick or whatever the fuck Retribution's guy's name is. You know, T-Bone and Slapdick or whatever the fuck their names are. What is it?
T-Bone.
Is it T-Bone? I thought it was T-Bar and Slapjack.
It's T-Bar. You said T-Bone.
I said T-Bone. Right.
T-Bone is the gypsy NXT UK wrestler. T-Bone. Who I think was outed as a creep, but yeah, I don't know.
I think so too. It's probably a good chance. To be honest, you just say that a UK guy was probably a creep, and you're going to be right 75% of the time. So
allegedly, for legal purposes.
Yes.
No, it's T-Bar.
T-Bar.
Mace. Not.
I was going to say Puff Daddy of Puff Daddy fame.
No, not Mace Murder the rapper. Not Mace.
Ooh, you go old school with Mace Murder.
Yeah,
classic Joe Lanza passing the tapes around Harlem. Yeah, all right, let's go.
Listen, I know things. Okay, I do a gimmick here.
You like Big L, Little Murder Mace. Yeah, all right.
Yeah, Harlem World. Remember?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I know what's going on, man. And who's the other one? Rebound or Rerun?
Rerun.
Something like that. What's the third one? What's Mia Yim?
Fucking no. Yeah, I don't know. If you're asking me, I honestly don't know. I don't really care either. So
there's T-Bar, Mace, 8-Ball or something like that.
8-Ball Crush, Skull.
Oh yeah, probably not 8-Ball, right? Because there already was an 8-Ball. That'd be, You think Vince remembers 8-Ball?
No.
Like seriously, you think
0% chance. 0%
hey, Vince,
chance.
Remember 8-Ball? You think he'd know who you were talking about? Or no?
No, 0% chance. He would have no clue.
You don't think so?
Never.
Do you think he remembers the pug, Alex Porto?
Yes, of course.
I'm serious. You think he remembers?
No, there's no way.
No?
I think a few years ago I would say yes to some of these, but now at this point I don't know if he knows what he did an hour ago. So
interesting. Do you think he remembers that Rebel Dick Slater was in his company in 1986?
Yeah, I think so. I think he's one of these guys probably like not dissimilar to us, where like he probably remembers stuff from like 30 years ago, but can't remember what happened last week.
Okay, so
but not. Yes, I don't know. The Dick Slater's tough though. That one might be tough.
He wasn't there long. I think he might remember him because he flopped, and maybe he was upset that it didn't work out. Like I brought in Dick Slater.
Yeah,
and he didn't draw me a dime. Right? Like he might look at it from that perspective. Right, but I don't think he remembers
the pug Alex Porto. He does not remember.
No, I don't think he remembers them. Do you think he remembers the Goon? Memorable gimmick. Wild Bill Irwin as the hockey player.
I vote no on the Goon.
How did he wrestle in those boots? Because they were shaped like
they were huge. Yeah, they were huge scale. He didn't wrestle well. I'll tell you that. They weren't good, but I am always amazed by that. Yeah, his outfit was wild, and he was okay. I mean,
do you remember his entrance theme? It was dun dun.
Yes.
Dun 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 dun, like that kind of shit. Like arena sounds was his entrance music, and his finishing move was a body check into the rope.
It actually rules. Yeah, someone needs to bring that back. Someone needs to bring the Goon back for sure.
Because he never won, so it's like I think he had one jobber match ever, and if you didn't see it, how would you ever know what his finisher was? Because then he was doing jobs for everybody else. You know what I mean? Do you think Vince remembers Public Enemy?
Yes, only because internally everybody hated them, and he basically sent guys out to like fucking stiff them. You know what I mean? Like the Bradshaw would come in and stiff them, so he probably remembers those guys for sure.
That's a good point.
Because Bradshaw would say something, he would laugh. Yeah, show them. You know what I mean? Like that they stuck out in his memory because he hated them enough. Like I think the people he hates, he probably still remembers.
Right.
Like he doesn't. The Goon's like whatever. He doesn't really,
I'm trying to think who would be the most high-profile guy who worked for him that he has no memory of anymore. Do you think
Shelton Benjamin?
No, so it'd be Michael Tarver, right?
right.
Michael Tarver. Uh, I don't even have a follow-up for that. How about Jimmy Yang in the ring doing spots with Big Show?
The Cowboy Yang or whatever, yeah.
He's in the ring. You never heard this one? He's in the ring doing spots with Big Show.
Oh yeah, he's like, he's pretty damn good. We should sign that guy, right?
No, he was visiting. And Vince is watching him practice spots with Big Show, and he turns to the agent and he goes, "How come we haven't done anything with Jimmy lately?" And the agent's like, we cut him 2 years ago. You fired him 2 years ago. Oh God, Jimmy looks great.
God damn! Look at him in there.
Look at him go. Look at Jimmy go. How come we haven't done anything with Jimmy Yang? Oh my God. Well, we know he remembers Jimmy Wang Yang or whatever.
Yeah.
So you remember? I would love to know if he remembers Alex the Pug Portel.
We need someone on the inside to ask.
We do. We need someone to ask that question. Oh my God! Do you think he is aware of half the people on the NXT current television?
God no! Oh no way! No way!
How many of the women in that battle royal?
God, I mean, he's better. He's a better man than me if he knows a fucking quarter of them.
Do you know something called Avery was eliminated from the Battle Royal on NXT yesterday?
Is she the NXT UK girl? Or
no.
Is it different Avery?
No. You're thinking of Avery from Australia.
Yeah, this is a different Avery?
No, this is like some PC scrub named Avery. And like she gets eliminated and I never saw her in my life. And whoever was calling the show was like, "Oh, and Avery's eliminated." I'm like, they're just making people up now. Like they're just half the people in the Battle Royal were wearing like generic gear. Like they didn't name them when they got eliminated.
I mean, half the roster has COVID, so that's they've run into some issues as of late. So
yeah, they're just making people up in that Battle Royal. You know? Do you think Vince knows who Tegan Knox is?
God, no clue.
You don't think so?
Zero clue.
Do you think Vince? I'm going to try to push it as far as I can to someone who he really should know who. Okay. Do you think Vince knows who Cameron Grimes is?
Yeah, I think so.
How about North American champ Damian Priest?
I think he knows Priest, yeah. That seems like a guy that they would show a tape to Vince and say, "What do you think of this guy?" And he's like, goddamn, good luck, yeah. And then like they just push him after that, you know what I mean? Knowing that it's not going to be completely aborted at some point, so... I think Priest has to get a look. I think someone showed him a tape of Priest.
Do you think he knows that Killian Dane was once on the main roster?
No.
I don't think so either.
Yeah, because that just looks like a generic, tall, bearded dude. You know what I mean? Like, no, for sure. He has no clue.
Yeah, I don't think he remembers that.
I also don't think he knows that Johnny Gargano was ever on the main roster either.
You don't think he remembers that?
No.
Kind of pushed them for like a week.
Yeah, I don't
remember Gargano and Daddy's Home hated each other on NXT, but they were
joined and they were like plucky baby faces from 1984 on the main roster. Yeah,
slapping hands with the fans, high five,
right?
Like they're the fucking high flyers, you know? Yeah, great job, good effort. Anyway, that's your
Roman Reigns Jey Uso Universal Championship.
Oh yeah. What is it? What's this show? Fully Loaded or
Clash of Clash of Champions. So.
Clash of Champions.
Yeah.
Okay.
Drew McIntyre defending the title against Randy Orton. Little ambulance.
I thought this was WWE Bad Blood.
Right, bad with 2 D's. Bad blood.
Was it 2 D's?
It was 2 D's. Yeah.
Bad blood.
Yep.
Okay. How many of those were
there? There was 97. That might have been it. No, they brought it back in like 2003. They brought it, but I think they lopped a D off in 2003 when they brought it back. So
Roadblock end of the line.
Yes, that definitely roadblock end of the line. Could be the end of the line for Drew McIntyre. That is the end of the line of this fucking
Not
podcast.
to be confused with Roadblock.
Right, which is 2 different pay-per-views in the same year. Remember when they had 2 roadblocks in the same year?
Yes.
God damn this company. Jesus Christ.
Well, Roman Reigns is going to take his shirt off and wrestle shirtless.
That's what I've heard. Yeah, it's the big news going around the sheets, as the kids say. Is that Roman Reigns getting new music and he's going to take the shirt off. So,
well, that's Roadblock end of the line.
Yeah, that's that. So we'll not be covering it live on Sunday, but maybe I'll cover it afterwards. But probably not. Given our haphazard preview, I don't know. That doesn't sound like something I want to do on Sunday. I'm already dreading. I haven't even agreed to do it in my head. I didn't agree with you. I didn't promise anything, and I'm already dreading thinking about doing it. So, we'll see. Anyway, that's it. End of the line for your this Voice Wrestling Flagship podcast. Anyway, patreon.com/Voices of Wrestling. MyBookie, promo code VOW. Double your first deposit. 100% deposit match up to $1,000. You put $1,000 in, they'll give you $1,000 at MyBookie. Promo code VOW. And that is it for us. So for Joe Lanza, I'm Rich Craich. We'll talk to you guys next time on the Voice Wrestling Flagship podcast. Take care.